guys, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Music or Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. As always, I am gathered here with Ryan Poole.
And that's it.
Just Ryan Poole.
You skipped mentioning who you are.
No, I said my
really
name's Jury right in the beginning.
Did you?
Yeah, I just have been doing it in a little bit of a different time now.
Ooh.
Trying to like mix up the intro, see what feels right.
Yeah, I mean, good optimization there. We might lose listeners.
Well, I used to always say
the old way.
Well, I used to always say, "Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Obadiah," because I was streaming. We were streaming it on my Twitch channel, and that's my name on Twitch. But now that we're not doing that, I swapped to just my name, Jury. But it doesn't fit in that same spot with the same flow because it has less syllables.
I see.
So I've moved it till after I say, "Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Music or Hideout. My name's Jury," and then continue.
I see.
Wow, yeah.
So
we can really break that down further if you want.
No, that's fine. No, I get it deeply. So we thought it'd be nice to just do an episode where we just hang out. So, you know, when we started this podcast in whenever the past, Wesley, could you fact check when we started this podcast?
Yeah, it should be on our wiki page.
We at the time were living together, and so we were hanging out several times a week. Be watching movies, TV shows, or whatever, constantly kind of catching up, bantering, or whatever. So we had a very nice banter flow. And then, I moved out. COVID happened. So many things. And,
so many things.
So it feels like a good time to just get together, catch up, and reestablish our bro energy.
Yeah, and also let y'all know what's going on. What's been going on for the last pandemic years. The last pandemic length of time
Wesley's
that we had.
Pulled it up. When does it say, Wesley, when does it say episode 1 came out?
4 years ago.
Dang.
That's a long
was
time.
the date?
If you click on it, it'll give you the actual date.
Fall?
In the fall?
June 15th, 2018.
Yep. I mean, on the way to the fall, real close.
On like the fall path. The path to fall.
The march to fall. So, yeah. Well, I want to like just, catch up in general, but honestly, I kind of want to just jump straight into Perosmia.
That's fine. You know what? I want to talk about it.
Because I can't spend 5 seconds with you without hearing about it.
Yeah.
And you've been telling me that you're giving me the small version.
Yeah.
And even so, it's a lot. But as we're sitting down to drink, we've got some ranch waters, and like we're having to pick specific ranch waters for you, and
because there's only certain ones that I can actually consume, or at least consume and enjoy.
So, what the hell's Parosmia?
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I have no idea how it's pronounced. I've never heard the word said. It's Parosmia. Is it Parosmia or Perosmia? I have no idea. And also, I've never been to a doctor about this, so they have not assigned that to me. This is a self-diagnosis.
Oh my God, you're becoming my mom.
I know. However, it's pretty fair, and it's a pretty basic definition. Like when you look it up, it's a lot of things can cause it.
And I do want to highlight that we are at your 1 year anniversary of
pretty damn a couple weeks because it was
Mm-hmm.
late September last time because we delayed it for I forget why.
Delayed what?
The trip.
Oh, right.
For whatever I forget why. Oh, because we had that trip with your dad, the hunting trip with your dad.
Makes no sense to anybody listening. So,
No. We're gonna go into all what that
take
means.
Me to the beginning.
So in the beginning. Genesis 1:1.
Taste buds.
So what happened was, I most years or recently in recent years for Ryan's birthday, he's gotten a cabin, and we go to a cabin up in the Smoky Mountains, and it's a great time. And last year, when we got back from the cabin, several people on the trip had COVID. Myself, my wife, Ryan. Was that it? Just
That's
those
it.
3?
Yeah.
So 3 out of like the 8 people who were there or whatever. Came back with COVID, and it wasn't too bad at first. Like it was like felt like I had a bad cold or maybe a small flu. It hit my wife a little bit worse.
And out of curiosity, are you interested about talking about vaccination status with that?
Yeah, absolutely. At the time, I was fully vaccinated. I had, or I still am, I guess.
Yeah.
It didn't go and get rid of it. I didn't like get my blood sucked out and get new blood. So as far as I know, I'm still vaccinated. I did get the Johnson & Johnson, which was, as everybody knows, the poverty vaccine. Because it was one shot. That's just, they offered that where I was working, and it was next door, so that's the one I got. And so maybe that helped with my symptoms. They weren't that bad. I don't know. I don't know the extent of that. I'm not a scientist or doctor.
But you know what it didn't help with?
It did not help with what's going. But when I got it, I lost my taste and smell. And so did my wife. And we actually didn't notice it first, which is weird but you just don't expect to lose your taste and smell.
Right.
But we ordered like Indian food on Uber Eats, and we were just eating, like watching a movie or something. And my wife is very sensitive to spice. His sister, very sensitive to spice, and so she'll a lot of times put like sour cream or something on anything that's spicy to like tone that down. And she wasn't doing that. And she turned to me and she goes, "Isn't this supposed to be spicy?" And then I realized like I could feel the spice, but I couldn't taste the spice. I could feel it like in my, you eat a bunch of spice, but you can feel it in your stomach. I could feel it, but I actually couldn't taste it at all. And then neither could she. It was like wild. And I was like, well, this sucks. But after a couple weeks, it came back. No problem. I was like, that's great. And everything was fine again. And everything was great for like a month, maybe 2 months. But mid-December, I went and made burgers, like ground beef, made some home burgers. Very excited about them. Took a bite and was like, this meat's bad. I left it in the fridge too long. Threw them away. And then later, my wife, Corinne, brought this chocolate bar that she bought, this lavender fancy chocolate bar. And she was like, try this out. And so I was like, all right. And so I tried it and I was like, this tastes like shit. How do you like it? It literally tastes like dirt. Like it tastes awful. I was like, what is this? This is garbage. I don't want this. And she was all upset because she thought I felt like I wasted part of her chocolate bar because it was an expensive chocolate bar and I don't like it. But then I started realizing I had that experience with everything. Everything I would eat tastes like shit. And the closest thing that I can describe the taste to, depending on what it is, there's like 3 tastes. There's the rotten meat taste, which a lot of random foods have, not just meat, though all meats taste rotten, except for raw fish. Or things will taste like chemicals, which I don't know what chemicals, but I'm not a chemical connoisseur. I don't taste them on the daily. But it's like a general chemically taste. I get that a lot from beverages, especially like sodas and things. That has toned down over time. That's not so bad anymore. And then some things, and this one's the worst one, is I can only describe the taste as like if you take out the trash and there's a hole in the bag.
Yeah.
And that trash juice leaks out. You know, that smell, that trash juice smell. Or like you go up to a dumpster
Trash
and it's
juice.
leaking. You know? Whatever that smell, so many things taste like that smell.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare. So this happened mid-December.
I think I want to know, and I mean, maybe you're about to get there anyway, but I want to
ask all the
know
questions.
why would it have to everything is bad? Why not just all of a sudden like shit, cauliflower tastes like Skittles?
Right, that would be dope, but it doesn't. And cauliflower is a pretty bad one. It's not that bad. Like I can eat cauliflower raw, but it's not really great. But so it's called Perosmia or Perosmia. I don't know. Which is just defined as the dysfunction of smell. Because your taste is like I think it's like 70% of your smell or of your taste is smell based. So if you lose your smell, you also lose a lot of your taste. And so from what I understand, and you can fact check this or ask a doctor. But from what I understand...
Wesley, can you fact check this?
Or ask a doctor. Call the doctor we have on call.
Literally, we could just sign up for one of those services right now. Like, I think I'm already a member of one, and we could have like a chat with doctors
Just don't tell 'em.
during the show.
But if you when you lose your taste and smell... Oh, yeah. What I was going to say was a lot of people who lose their taste and smell really lose their smell. And they still have some of their taste. That happens a lot. And so when you lose taste or smell, it's called ansomnia or something like that. And if it's a dysfunction of it, it's parosmia. And there's another one too that means something else similar. But the thing is, it's crazy, this thing. So I will just say to start, this is by far the worst thing that's ever happened to me my entire life. This is the worst thing. And I would not wish this on anybody. It is an absolute tragedy. Because you don't realize it until it happens how much of your life is affected by smell. So, like, I can't go certain places. So over time, this happened in December. It is now about to be September. So it's been about 9 months I've had this and been almost a year since I've gotten COVID. And it has lessened over time where, like, I can eat some more things now. like some bread is back. Because one of the very first things that I tried when this happened, I couldn't find anything to eat. And I had these like water crackers, which is like literally the most flavorless cracker you can have. It's just a cracker. And I was like, perfect. So I ate that and almost threw up like instantly. It was like I spit it out in the sink. Like I couldn't get it down.
Why? Because it just smelled
Tastes
gross?
so bad. I put them it's just like rotten meat instantly. It's like putting rotten in your and like when it's that bad, because some things are just awful. It's like you can't like even I can't get it down. Like it's like your body just rejects it.
Like I'm curious what's going on here. Like, is this like the kind of like Matrix-esque where like the wool's been pulled from your eyes and suddenly you're tasting what things really taste like?
True tastes.
Yeah, because like a lot of this is all perception. I mean, I got to this thought by thinking like, is it getting better or are you getting more used to the taste of garbage?
I have thought that a lot, and it's only improved enough that I don't know. Like it hasn't gotten so good. Like there's not been a one food that I just straight couldn't eat at all that I now is normal. That has not happened. Things have gotten like lessened, and I have wondered like, am I just adapting this taste?
Right. And thinking through that made me go, well, all of it, like none of us really know what things tasted like when we were infants. Like, have we trained ourselves to think that things that, you know, garbage taste is normal and the wool was removed from your eyes via COVID?
I doubt it. This is pretty bad. Like a human race would die if this is what everybody tasted.
He'll be like, no, I'm just out. I don't need to eat.
You just can't. But well, there is something kind of related to that because what it is olfactory nerve damage.
Okay.
That I guess repairs itself over time. It's supposed to be temporary. I've seen lots of cases of people recovering from it, but it just from COVID, it hasn't been out long enough to know everything yet because it's only been a couple of years. But everything points to it just being temporary, and that seems to be the case for pretty much everybody. There's no evidence of permanency yet because, you know, it's only been 2 years. It's kind of hard to judge permanency after 2 years. But what's the one thing that people recommend, I have had a lot of people say this helps none at all, and I did this for a while and it helped zero, is olfactory training, where you can actually try to retrain your growing nerves with certain scents. Mm-hmm. And so they recommend essential oils because they're such strong scents.
Did you say that you haven't tried this?
No, I have tried this.
Oh, you have?
I
Okay.
did. I did this for a few months. And so there's certain ones they recommend. I forget what they are, like sage and thyme and shit. I forget. I don't know. There's like a group of like 4 or 5 of them. And you're supposed to just smell them. You just sit there and just smell them for like 30 seconds a day. It does nothing for the right. And maybe if somebody else has this and it helps them, that's great. But it didn't do shit for me. I did it for several months. And I still have them. I still use it every once in a while. I'll just pick them up when I'm like watching TV or something just to try. But there's been all sorts of crazy remedies out there, like eating a burnt orange. Heard that one from someone in our friend group, and then Googled it. Apparently, a lot of people have tried that. It does nothing. And there's been like a bunch of like those kind of like homebrew things that do nothing. There is one thing that actually might help it though, that people have found. It's called the stellate ganglion block.
Okay.
Or something like that. Stellate ganglion? I don't know. And what it is, so you're...
Do I even have to say Wesley, please fact check?
Yeah, you gotta Google that one, yeah. But it's something that's used a lot for people who have PTSD. I don't know why or how or the science behind it, but it's an injection you get in your neck into your stellate ganglion, and it blocks it, I guess. And people have found that some people have gotten that, and it's cured their parosmia very quickly. The problem is it's very expensive and not covered by health insurance.
How expensive?
Well, it can take anywhere from 2 to 10 injections. Each injection costs $2 to $3 grand.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or else I would have done this already.
Yeah.
Granted, I just learned about it like a couple months ago, but
Yeah.
Apparently, they also use the stellate ganglion to treat hyperhidrosis, which Ryan is familiar with.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what that is.
Interesting.
Does that drink too much water?
Hyperhidrosis is when you sweat too much, and usually for people, it's like their hands or feet. It can be different things. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't have it. I'm dating somebody who does.
I have it.
Do you?
Yeah. My hands are always sweaty, and so anytime meeting somebody, they like shaking hands is the most awkward thing for me because they think that, you know, I'm like nervous.
And that probably makes you nervous thinking about it, which makes it happen more.
Yes.
It's like a catch-22, nothing you can do about it. That's a bummer.
Supposedly, if you start thinking about your hands, like you're like, oh my God, they're dry right now. It'll make it start sweating.
Right
hands
now,
are dry.
because I'm
My hands are
thinking
dry.
about my hands are like completely drenched in sweat.
Crazy.
Yeah.
My hands don't sweat like, at all.
The cool thing about hyperhidrosis is there is an easy fix.
Just don't move.
No, they can do a surgery, and they tap into your spinal cord and do some sort of snip. And if you don't get paralyzed, your hands won't sweat anymore.
Well, that's nice.
So
That's a benefit.
yeah, and
But, so anyway, I am interested in trying this Stellate Ganglion block. If any of our viewers out there has lots of money and wants to pay for it, I'll take it.
good call.
But yeah, it's crazy expensive. And for some people, it does nothing. Some people that doesn't help either. So it's like, maybe it helps. The one doctor I read, this doctor, they were interviewing this doctor who's been doing it for people. And he said he finds about 65 to 70% fully recover from it with using this. I'm like, that's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah. Seems like something that shouldn't have to cost $2,000 to $3,000.
No, it really
and
shouldn't.
That you're sure taking advantage of people who are desperate.
Yep. I think, the thing is, it is covered under insurance for PTSD, but it's just not a recognized treatment of this thing yet because there are no recognized treatment of this thing.
Okay. All right. Could you fake PTSD?
I mean, I could, but I could, but I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to realize.
So let me throw this out there, and I hope this isn't wrong to do, but I saw John Mulaney last night, and in one of his bits, he was talking about how he acquired drugs, and it was great because he was interviewing a young man from the audience, and our audience, it was a 14-year-old named Sullivan, and he kept going like, Sullivan, now let me tell you about, but he's talking about drugs, and it was like it was a fun contrast, but he's like, you shouldn't do this, but if you're looking to get prescribed drugs, he's like, it's remarkably easy. He's like, you go to like WebMD and search for doctors and filter by worst first, like lowest rated. And he's like, those people need your money. They need your business. And he found a doctor.
Sketch doctor.
Yeah, named Dr. Michael.
When it's a doctor's
like,
first name, it's a problem.
Right. He's all, I'm not obscuring his identity. He didn't have a last name. And you need your own Dr. Michael.
I do. I
who
need a
will
Dr. Michael.
treat you for PTSD and be like, you have PTSD.
But yeah, so I'm hoping to maybe look into that. Even if I can, so sometimes you can happen with just one. You know, like, let me just get one. Can I just get one? Let me get one injection. Just one drug, please.
Seems worth it to pay for the one and see.
Yeah, it's just a lot of money
Yeah.
that I don't currently have, but hopefully will soon. Especially if all of you, for only $5 a day.
For the cost of one Starbucks drink, you can help this poor boy regain his taste.
But so the problem is, so what happens is when you have this thing, you first of all, there's some things that are extra bad about it. Number one, some people just straight up don't believe you. That's super common. Like my dad just straight up didn't believe me for a while. Like people just don't believe you. It's super weird. You're like, no, I'm telling you that I can't. Like it tastes bad, and they're just like, nah. I guess not. Come on. Are you just on? My dad was like, are you just on some weird diet and don't want to tell us? That's what he asked me. I was like, no, I just can't eat. I've never been on a diet in my life. Look at me. I look like the kind of guy who diets. No, I eat and do what I want. So one, some people just straight up don't believe you. But second, people can't really understand the extent of it unless you're living in it, which is tough to explain to people. Like I end up bringing it up a lot. I bring it up all the time as like a one-liner. I bring it up all the time. It is like either a joke or something like that. But I don't talk about it much outside of that just because nobody gives a fuck. Because why would they? Like, you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect anybody to give a fuck about that because why would they? They don't have the same experience. But it does cause some frustrations with people, including my wife. Like, my wife will be like, let's go to Hugh Baby's, a local burger chain that's dope. And I'll be like, I can't even go in there because it smells so bad.
It smells like trash juice?
It smells like trash juice. Like, even if I wanted to just go pick up food for her, like, I don't even want to go in that restaurant. Anything that's like some places are not so bad and some are much worse. Coffee shops were really bad. I couldn't even go in a coffee shop Now that's faded because coffee is definitely one of the worst triggers of it. Coffee, any meat, red meat specifically, is extra bad. Quality meat is worse. Those things are particularly bad. Onions and garlic are absolutely not. If onions or garlic even came close to it, it's like there's no shot, which is a bummer because I love onions and garlic and meat. Those are like the best foods. And coffee. Like, what the hell? Anything that tastes good, I just can't have. Beer was really bad at first. That's lessened a little over time, but also I don't know if I believe that. And it was always drinkable, just barely. And I think, and I've just like with drinks, I've kind of just pushed through it. If it's a cold drink, I can kind of just make it work now. But hot drink, I can't drink hot coffee at all. But I can drink iced coffee if I put a fuck ton of sugar in it and try to ignore the taste. I can make coffee work. That's like the only way I can drink coffee is iced with a bunch of sugar. And I don't really put cream in my coffee, and I couldn't drink milk either. Now I can. Milk I can drink and it's okay. Almond milk has always been fine though, so I've been working on almond milk.
Interesting.
Yeah, almond milk's been my go-to for a while now. But regular milk is now okay.
Is it possible that you're in a morality tale and you just need to realize something, and once you do, this
everything
goes
will be
away?
fine?
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Like a Family Man style movie starring Nick Cage.
Does Nick play me?
I don't know. Like, does Nick play you, or like, are you a side character in his movie? In fact,
I would definitely be a side character in Nick Cage's movie.
If it's a movie, like, you could be a side character that's experiencing trauma on account of poor decisions that Nicolas Cage made that you're completely unaware of, but he knows, and he knows it's his fault. And until Nicolas Cage learns a lesson, until Nick Cage learns a lesson, you've got this. And like, you might be in the section of the movie that we just cut for time, that you just, it's like where it's like 3 years later. And so meanwhile, you have to have Perosmia for 3 years while Nick Cage is like doing other things and besides working on his shit. And he still needs an inciting incident to help him to realize
to move the plot along. I'm like, hurry it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I do want to watch the Nick Cage movie that just came out. It looks amazing.
Yeah, same.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I think it's called. It looks amazing. And the reviews were good too, which is, I did not expect.
Well, Corinne told me that you guys are waiting to watch it till I can watch it.
Yeah, we said
you.
we'll wait to watch it with you.
I saw it on the streaming service the other day, and I thought, I'll wait to watch this with Yuri and Corinne.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
It's a good move. Glad you did.
I want to watch it.
Yeah, you can come over too.
Sorry, so you're out.
Shoot, man.
But, so what ends up happening with this thing, this Parosmia, is I can't go some places.
Sorry, real quick. I needed to log this now so I remember later.
Yeah, log it.
I feel that this episode might just be called Nick Cage Stole My Taste.
That's a great title. I'm into it.
All right, keep going.
And so you end up not being able to go
or like
some places.
the unbearable weight of Perosmia.
Ooh, that's actually kind of better. I don't know. How big of a hit was the movie, Is that more clickbaity? Yeah.
Good question. We'll Google it.
I can't. So like, if people are going out to eat, like sometimes I just don't want to go because the experience is so bad.
From the smells in the restaurant.
From just the smells alone, and then even if the smells aren't so bad, then I can eat there.
So I don't think I knew about that part because to me, I knew that things tasted bad to you. So I figured if you're going out to eat, then it sucks because you're working from a limited menu of things you can eat. But I don't think I knew that the experience of just existing in that restaurant is bad.
Yeah, and in the beginning, it was existing almost anywhere. Like everything smelled terrible in the beginning, and that's faded some. Oh wow,
$29 million.
is that big now? I don't know if that's big.
I think it.
The reviews were good though. I'm excited to watch it. I think it's gonna be hilarious. I've always been a Nick Cage fan though. I don't care how many shitty movies he does. He's done some awesome movies, and I think he's great. Gone in 60 Seconds was phenomenal. I don't care what anybody says. I know a lot of people hate that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Next, great movie. That's the one where you can go 2 minutes in the future, or you can see 2 minutes in the future. If you haven't seen that, that's so good. I think it's called Next.
Okay, for context, the new Top Gun Maverick ranks 12 on the
Which is a
box
massive
office scale. And that is at 1,422,000,000.
So a little bit more. A little bit more. Like 20 times.
Is that 12 like top ever or like current?
Correct. Top ever.
Oh, okay. Well,
My impression, guessing from past knowledge, is that 29 million at the box office
is
isn't
mid-low.
an absolute flop, but yeah, it probably is like
It's a mid-low, yeah.
It's a mid-low.
I feel like you hear 200 million a lot. Like that's a number I feel like you're throwing around about movies a lot.
yeah. But it all the success of
about
the movie
hits, like
really
big
depends
hits.
on like how much they spent on it.
True. And how much they promote it, how much they push it, when it releases, the culture at the time. Top Gun was hyped up for 10 years. Top Gun 2
Right.
was announced in 2012, I think.
Avengers movies are like cost like $200 to $300 million kind of range. But a movie like The Unbearable Weight of Talent costs a lot less million.
That's true. A lot less special effects budget. Probably. I don't know. I haven't seen it. It's a Nick Cage movie. They could do literally anything.
Yeah.
It's a Nick Cage movie about how ridiculous Nick Cage is. Starring Nick Cage. Like it could have the biggest special effects budget we've ever seen. It's gonna be beating out Avatar for all I know. But okay, but
So
yeah,
you're saying it sucks to go to a
so
restaurant.
it sucks to go to a restaurant or just out. Hold on. Or just out, kind of anywhere sometimes. But also when I do go to a restaurant, and I go to a restaurant that doesn't smell so bad, there's usually nothing I can order. Like there's 0 things on the menu that don't have garlic or onion or meat, unless it's just like a dessert. And some desserts, like chocolate is like 50-50. Chocolate was bad, now it's like 50-50. And but peanut butter is strictly out. Anything peanut related is a tragedy, and I miss peanut butter so much. Nothing do I miss more though than pizza.
Ooh, I figured out what your a potential moral quandary or whatever for your movie here. It's like, and maybe it's you as a kid even. So you're gonna have to real dig deep and search your memories here. Like if it's a kid, this is more like if it's a kid's movie. It's like you're complaining to your mom you wouldn't eat your vegetables, something like that, or just like I hate carrots more than anything in the world.
I like carrots, and that's one of the few foods I can still eat.
So it's not that. But like something like that, you know what I'm saying? And then obviously like the wrapping up, like the closing of this is of your movie is like you're healed and you smell carrots and you're like so happy that you can smell carrots again.
Ugh.
And now you've learned your lesson. I mean, this is more like a Disney Channel show.
Sure, it's like getting lamer and lamer as time goes on. Like I wouldn't see this movie now. But
frankly, you wouldn't see the movie you're currently in either unless it gets a lot more harrowing.
true.
And I have some thoughts
it's not
about that.
harrowing.
I've been thinking about this. So you predicted many years ago that you would die next year.
I did. So I can mention that briefly. This was like, I don't know, 2008 to 10 range. That's when this started. Maybe even earlier. I don't remember what the conversation was that sparked it. But there was some conversation going on and somebody made the statement, you never know when you're going to die. To which I responded, the contrarian that Ryan likes to label me as, and that I probably am, is I said, that's ridiculous. I know exactly when I'm going to die. March 12th, 2023. And I just made up an arbitrary date and have been saying that date for the last, 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
The problem is now it's next year. It's coming up. It's coming up quick.
Dude, this is your movie. Like that has
You're right.
something to do with it.
This would be a good comedy.
So I've been thinking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've lost some weight since you couldn't eat most
Now,
foods.
to my credit, I lost a bunch of weight before that, too.
True.
I lost about 75 pounds, and then since this, I've lost an additional 35.
No.
I've lost 110 pounds in like the last 2 years.
So are you familiar with the Stephen King book/movie Thinner?
No.
It's where a very morbidly obese man starts losing weight because I think like a gypsy or somebody, like I haven't seen this in years, but like a gypsy or somebody is like, you'll be thinner. It's like the opposite of big. And he slowly like loses weight and he starts looking good, but then he starts getting emaciated. And then I think he just like completely thins away. Like he's like until he's a skeleton, something like that. And I don't remember much more about it other than that. But I've been thinking like, you're in kind of a thinner situation.
Slow one.
A slow thing. And so I'm just like, well, if it ramps up, I'm like, that could be what kills you March 13th?
March 12th.
March 12th, 2023.
Yeah, we're going to have a party
Like,
on the 13th if I'm
just
still alive.
Keep losing
If
weight.
I'm not, it's my funeral. So
Well, I was just
either way, save the date.
So like you made this prediction about your death, and then now there's like a thing you have
That's slowly killing me
yes
over
So-
a couple of years.
So you
My wife will cry if she listens to this podcast.
she won't get this far.
Yeah, she won't listen this long.
So you're gonna have to learn. I think like for the movie, you probably learn your lesson like the night before, and like 11:59.
Right, just barely
Groundhog's Day
staying
over.
alive.
Yeah, at 11:59, the clock flips over and you're still alive, and you celebrate. So I don't know what the lesson is, but I feel like all the elements are there, and a better writer could do it.
So if you're a better writer
Yeah.
out there,
That being said, I do think we should have a party on that day.
on the day, not
On
the
the
day
day.
after.
On the day. Yeah. No, or like
I've been telling people the
not-
day after for a long time.
Well, maybe we have the the party for the day after. That's fine. We should just the day of. We should like take off work and just do like all your favorite things.
Just in case.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what'll kill me. All my favorite things are degenerate things. You know, I want to be like. I was just thinking, who's going to listen to this? But no one's going to listen to this in my family. So I'll probably be smoking weed and getting plastered and just playing video games and eating shit food. Well, if I can taste by then. Otherwise, I'll be eating sushi.
Just like do all the things, like make it a whole day, like the day you got engaged to Corinne,
Yeah, did a whole thing.
The morning, you got to watch the sunrise and the sunset. You got to do this, that, and the other thing. Go skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing, the whole deal.
I feel like skydiving is a bad move on the day you think you're going to die. That's probably just not the choice.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
His parachute didn't open. It's so weird. He thought for years he was going to die this day, still chose to go jumping out of an airplane. Maybe not the one. No one even feels bad for you at that point. They're like, well, you brought that on yourself. I just, can't feel. But no. But along with like bad taste and bad smell and just like it's inconvenient to go places, and which makes me, which I am already more of an introverted person who doesn't want to go as many places, and this makes me want to go to places even less. Or just going to like someone's house, they're having food, it smells bad, and you can't eat. And then especially if you go to like someone's house for a long time, you can't. And I'm just hungry. Like I'm just hungry all the time. Like the amount of time I've spent hungry this year, I'm like, you would think I live in like some African country. I was gonna say one, but I was like, I don't know that much about them. Ethiopia, maybe.
It's a good go-to.
It's a good go-to. Like you'd think, like I'm just like, because I so often I couldn't eat. Now I've solved most of that nowadays, but for like months I was just always hungry. But I found, so in the beginning when this happens, the number one thing you got to do is figure out what the hell you can eat. So I just kept going to the grocery store, buying tons of different things and just trying them, and found nothing. But I discovered what was okay was carrots, raw carrots, not cooked. So I started buying bags of baby carrots. Which get real boring after a while. Let me tell you, Jesus Christ. I could eat rice, though rice was not great at first. I could get it down. Now rice is pretty much fine. It was almost fine. It was never that bad, but now it's pretty much fine. So rice, and then I can eat cheese. Almost every type of cheese has been fine. Some of the sharper or stronger cheeses have been a little rough, but besides that, cheese is good. So literally what I eat almost every single day is I make rice and I shred some cheese into it, and that's what I eat. That's the only thing I eat that day, most days.
Have you considered that you should probably
And
have
some
protein?
baby carrots. Cheese has protein.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cheese. For my mind went to carrots.
Protein
I
is
was
the one thing that I get. But at first I didn't know about the rice at first. Cheese I found out pretty quickly. I eventually discovered I could eat raw fish, which was a game changer, because then I could eat an actual meat, which was nice. This is the one meat I can eat. Cooked fish is still out. All other meats are still out, with one exception. That is a hilarious exception. I read on Reddit. There's a Perosmia Reddit, and I read on there someone said they can't eat any meat, but they have found there's one thing that they can eat, and that is McDonald's hamburgers.
Because it's not
they're
meat.
so not meat so I went and tried it. As soon as I learned, I was like, we're going to McDonald's. Went to McDonald's. I got double cheeseburger with nothing else on it, just meat, cheese, and bun, and it was edible. And I was like, holy shit, I haven't had red meat in like 8 months.
And you still haven't.
And I still haven't, but it's as close as I've gotten. So I've gone to McDonald's several times since then. The problem is that it's also though like, oh, here's something crazy. By the way, this maybe, I'm not trying to blame McDonald's for this, but maybe I am, which is I had that burger on a Sunday, double cheeseburger. I got 2 of them. Monday, I was in the office at work and I craved McDonald's. Like I wanted McDonald's. Just like I vape all the time. If I don't vape for a long time, you want to vape. Like it's addiction, right? It's nicotine. It was the same thing. And it was a strong, like, I want McDonald's. And I didn't get McDonald's on purpose because I was like, I'm not about to get addicted to McDonald's. What the fuck? Like, I just lost a bunch of weight. Not about to supersize me, you know? So I've only had it a few times. Like I'm not purposely not going to McDonald's every day, even though I could because it's like cheap as hell.
Yeah, you'd be on Oprah. Like, now, how did you, as a man who can eat almost no foods, gain 350 pounds?
Yeah, in a record time. But weirdly, McDonald's burgers, like I can eat if there's nothing else on them. Now that bread is more okay, it helps too because I can eat the buns. But what you don't think about at first, that I had to start thinking about, was malnutrition is a problem because I can't eat most things that are nutritious. Now I take a vitamin. Oh
shit! You fuck with scurvy?
Well, so I first started noticing it because my fingernails started getting brittle. They would just crack. I would just look down and have a crack across the middle of my fingernail. I'm like, well, that's not okay. Like, that's not normal. And it started, like, my fingernails would just break and crack all the time. That started. And then, this is the one. This is actually, well, we'll see. But I started losing hair. Like, in the shower, like, tons of hair. Like, a ridiculous amount. And it's still, like, I've stopped losing hair more than the normal amount. I still have long hair, so I still, like, in the shower, it's still a disaster. But it was like crazy for a while. That has stopped now, but it still hasn't like fully regrown in there. Like I have like a really thin spot in my hair right now. Like it, like if I, like you'll see it, like I'll show you. It, okay. You're gonna be like, oh, you're balding immediately. You're gonna say this.
Okay.
So I got to get my front hair front and my back hair back, and you can see like right in the middle, it's like borderline balding. You see what I'm talking about? Like, like all up in here.
Yeah.
It's like so thin. And I was like, am I just going? You see what I'm talking about? I don't know how crazy that looks.
I see what you're saying. It doesn't look that crazy, like, because I could be just like, oh, I guess maybe that's what long hair looks like.
When I've done it like in the mirror,
where
I like see where I'm moving my hair to like clear the spot. I'm like, oh, fuck, am I just going bald?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I think the answer is no. It's just the malnutrition because it hasn't continued ever since I've been trying purposely to eat foods that have more nutrition. Once I learned I could eat sushi, that helped a lot. And avocado is fine. And a lot of sushi, a lot of poke bowls have like avocado. So I always get avocado and things. And poke bowls and sushi have probably kept me from dying. I eat sushi a lot, as much as I can. The problem was when this started, I had just quit my job and started school, and I was broke as hell. I couldn't afford sushi all the time. So now I'm starting to eat it more again. So for a while I was getting one poke bowl a week. That was the one real meal a week that I could eat. It was one poke bowl for like months.
Can you do any kind of like vegetables?
So raw carrots.
And that's it?
That's pretty much it. Raw cauliflower is okay. Broccoli is not okay.
But you said you started taking like a supplement now?
Yeah, I started taking like a multivitamin.
Is it Athletic Greens?
It's not. Athletic Greens expensive.
Even if you have the best diet imaginable.
It's great because like somebody will get that reference.
With just one capsule of AG1.
Though Corinne did have some liquid IV the other day, and I was like, that's a sponsor. Like I know that sponsor. That's another sponsor. Yeah. But weird. But the So yeah, it's definitely started getting malnutritioned. Like I'm definitely still way more tired. Like I'm just tired a lot. I'm just always tired.
Is there
And
a
kind
way
of
to
always feel like I'm getting sick.
Is there a way to prepare sushi at home?
We tried. So I found a place that sells sushi grade fish. It's like a international market in like Antioch. And we went down there and I got some sushi grade tuna ahi because the salmon was so fucking expensive. And that's really what I wanted was the salmon. I love salmon. The amount of salmon that the amount of raw salmon that I consume right now, I definitely have like some kind of mercury poisoning. Like there's no way. like I know like there's such little mercury in like sushi and stuff that it's not a concern unless you eat a shit ton of it. And I'm like, have I been eating too much? I'm gonna get mercury poisoning.
End of the day, maybe it turns out you just have mercury poisoning
this whole time. But I do eat a lot of sushi. I had sushi today for lunch. My work, I got a team lunch, and they're like, "Where's everyone to eat?" And I told my lead originally that, I told him about this and that I couldn't eat things, so I told him I could eat sushi. So he recommended sushi, and we went to like this really expensive sushi place for lunch.
Oh, nice.
But then I felt weird because it was like unnecessarily expensive for like a little work lunch, and the company's paying for it. But the director, so I was there with my director and my lead and the new guy who just started today and me. That was it, just us four. And the director just ordered like one roll. And then my lead just ordered like one roll. They were expensive rolls. Like they got like this fancy ones that were like $25 a roll. And then the other guy ordered like one thing. And I was like, bitch, I normally order 2 rolls and a nigiri.
Yeah.
So I went the cheaper roll and one nigiri. And then I was still hungry. I was like, this is like, it's very nice of them. But I felt like awkward about like, I should order whatever I want. The company's paying for it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a side thought of the day. But malnutrition's really bad. I'm always tired. I always feel like I'm getting sick. Like I wake up almost every day and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good today. Like I say that to people. And I realized at one point, like I've said that every day for months. Like everything about it is just, it's just the worst thing. It just affects, the thing is you don't realize how much it's going to affect because when you tell people, they're just like, oh, you just can't eat some foods.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's absolutely like it's all I think about. All day, every day, I think about food that I can't eat. And then I can't. And I'm tired and sick. And it's just, it's kind of a nightmare. And it's been happening about 9 months. So anyways, I might die March 12th. This prophecy might end up being fulfilled.
You mentioned not going to the doctor.
Yeah. So because I quit my job and I lost my insurance.
Yeah, but now you have a job and you have insurance. Do you have insurance?
Hasn't kicked in yet.
Oh.
Kicks in next week.
And you can go to the doctor?
I probably will. The thing is, part of me doesn't even want to just because of if you go on the Reddit or you read people's stories, they all go to the doctor. And the doctor usually is just like, I don't know. But either they don't know what it is or they know what it is and know there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, if you got insurance and going to the doctor's like basically
it's free, like I might as well do it anyways. Well,
because they might have thought of something you hadn't thought of or know something you don't know.
It's very possible.
Or be like, you thought this was from COVID or you thought this or you thought the other thing, but here's another possibility. Like when I was having my throat issue a few months ago, I was positive it was strep throat because it acted exactly like every time I've ever had strep throat. Still don't know what it was, but after like multiple doctor's visits, etc., strep throat was fairly well ruled out. And so that wasn't really helpful. In the end, it was kind of like, you'll probably just have to have your tonsils removed. And
You don't have your tonsils out yet?
No.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up healing before that happened. Before that was necessity. But so I don't know. I guess I just had recently had an experience where I was like convinced I knew what something was, and after like a lot of different, I did the online doctor where I'm just like, I have strep throat, give me strep throat medicine. And then I moved to like an urgent care. And then I moved to like a nose, throat, ear, whatever specialist. Yeah. And then I talked to Dr. Jeff, my uncle, and
which he is an ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Was, yeah.
Was, yeah. That's Your sister, my wife, told me that earlier. I didn't know that. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So he,
Because he's also like a famous plastic surgeon, right?
yeah. So, yeah, he made the jump.
It's a crazy jump, yeah.
So, yeah, all that to say, seeing a doctor is probably a great choice because the things you think you know, you might end up learning you don't know.
Which, not knowing that he was an ear, nose, and throat doctor was annoying. Because he asked me about this, and I just kind of described it really quick. You know, I was like, oh, because I'm not trying to like get in a conversation about it. But in reality, he probably knows way more about it than I ever could. And like, he would have been a great person to talk to about it when he was here in town. And he's such a nice guy.
Yeah. Maybe you should call him. Like, maybe he knows.
I mean, I told him about it. He would have said something, I assume. Right. But so what I found, so along with malnutrition, people don't believe you. You feel sick and tired all the time. And you're always hungry, and everything sucks and smells bad, and you can't go anywhere because your life's terrible. On top of that, people get mad at you all the time. Like at some point, everybody's getting frustrated with you about this. That's just kind of how it goes. And it seems to be like, it's not like they don't believe you. I don't know. This is always like people get very annoyed by this situation. I've found at some point or another. Almost everybody I know at some point just gets annoyed by it, which is fine. Like, I don't blame people for that because it's fucking annoying. But it's just another downside.
Have I gotten annoyed at you about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in relation to the specific thing, I think. Which I don't know if you want to talk about on the podcast.
I'm fine. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you remember a time I got annoyed?
Well, I was talking about the cabin, with the cabin stuff.
Oh.
So, because this year I chose not to go on the birthday trip with the cabin because that's where I got it last year and I'm still dealing with it. And so, so my philosophy around it is I don't just want to shut myself up in my house completely with this. But I also don't want to risk getting COVID again because it potentially could make it worse again. And that's not something I want to deal with. It's something that would be very difficult to handle. So I decided not to go to the cabin this year because I had to kind of set my boundaries. And so I decided, like, I'm not going to not hang out with people. I'm not going to not go over to someone's house just because, you know, it's a group or just because somebody in the group is not vaccinated. But I did also recognize that I should set some level of boundary because it is something that I don't want to get worse. And it is a big deal. And it's something that I want to make sure that I am doing to not make it, I'm doing my part to not make it worse. And so kind of the rule that I'd set for myself was like, okay, I can go to events, I can go to things, I can go out, but I'm not going to go anywhere where I'm staying either in an enclosed space for a super extended period of time, more than like 8 to 10 hours, or staying overnight with anybody who's not vaccinated. And there were just several people going on the trip who weren't vaccinated. And I said, you know what? I don't expect anybody to get vaccinated if they don't want to. You make your own choices. I don't give a fuck. I don't think it should be a law. Though I do think, generally speaking, you should probably get vaccinated. I'm on that side for sure. But I don't expect anybody to do anything to change what they're going to do because of me. I don't expect that. I generally speaking, try not to expect that of people in general outside of specific things. But so I'm of the opinion the only person that you can affect is yourself. You can only make your own choices. And so for me, it came down to I have to set my boundary regardless of if anybody else thinks it's stupid, which I have a feeling everybody did. And so that was just my boundary that I said. I'm not going to stay overnight anywhere or for more than X amount of hours with anybody who's unvaccinated. And there were some people, and so I decided not to go. And I think everybody was annoyed by that, or at least some people who thought about it. You know,
I don't think anybody was annoyed. Also, not everybody knows.
True.
We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
I've shared the information that you weren't going to some people, or I've shared why to some people who would ask, but not everybody is those people. I wasn't annoyed. I feel like I feel like in my head, the logic of it doesn't add up to me.
Sure.
But it's like, I guess I just don't agree with your logic, but I wasn't
That's
annoyed because ultimately, I think from my perspective, I mean, this has been interesting to hear about because I'm like, okay, so your things, it's more than
Yeah, more than I generally talk
hearing about the unbearable weight of Perosmia, like add some nice context to it. But
yeah, it is literally, it's hell. It's awful. It is much less bad now, but it's still terrible. But in the beginning, the first few months were just hell on earth. It was terrible.
So for me, I've not been annoyed. I think I was bummed out that you're not going, and then I think it's frustrating.
Yeah, maybe frustration is a better word than annoyed in general for this. What I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't even know if I felt frustrated, but I felt some kind of a way. I felt like this sucks, and the lot, like, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I think because, your wife's going to come home, I'm going to see you. I'm like,
right.
I don't know
I
that
hear what
it's
you're
actually
saying.
doing anything.
But, well, it also doesn't help. And I told my wife this. I don't know if I told you this, because I told you some of these things, some of the reasons at least. But I also, because I told Corinne, I said, there is also an unreasonable part of me with this, which is straight up that's where this started.
Yeah.
And until it goes away, I don't want to put myself in that same situation.
Yeah.
And that is illogical.
Yeah.
That is illogical. And that is an emotion-based reason.
It makes me happy to hear this, because that's exactly why I think. Like I came to that conclusion on my own.
Like, there's a lot of logical reasons why it does make sense.
Well, here's something that's interesting. It is an illogical reason, although it's very logical why you would have that illogical reason.
Yes.
It's like very logical.
Yeah. But illogical reasons aren't necessarily wrong either. Sometimes. It depends.
That might be
it's
true.
situational.
Yeah. What's interesting is that I, for like a lot of kinds of people, because it would be fine, or I'd be more readily accepting. I'm like, especially, I don't know, especially if it was like if it was Corinne.
Yeah.
And Corinne said, last year I got this there. I just I've still got some, bad feelings about it, or like vibes. I just I feel like I'm going to have like kind of PTSD going. Like,
yeah.
it's
you would accept that because of the
me out.
person she is.
Yeah. And be like, oh, I get why you feel that way. That makes sense. It makes sense that you feel that way. Therefore, totally good. But because the way you tend to describe yourself and explain your thinking about the world is so hyperlogical, that reason doesn't exactly sound logical. And so it's a little harder to swallow. But
I
also
am a human too, Ryan.
But here's what's else. You never said that.
Well, I don't think
me.
I had that thought until after you and I had talked about it.
I had that thought from the first time you texted me. But it doesn't add up in another way, because I'm like, is it this? But that doesn't sound like how you think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a human with a full range of emotions, and feel them sometimes. But I think there's a lot of logical trackings there as well.
It's actually the only reason that I fully get. That's actually the only thing that makes me go, because I think anybody I talk to about it, I'm like, this is what he said to me. I don't think that adds up. It makes some sense. It's not completely illogical, because on some level it might increase your risk of exposure, which might lead to worse. But from a logical standpoint, you're encountering humans all the time, and you're going to see me the day after. So it's like, if I got COVID during the thing, like, you're a little fucked right now because you're 3 feet away from me.
True, but I am at least some distance. It's a little more than 3. It's like 4.
It's about 3 feet, and this room is unvented. So, but that being said, I mean, it's still, there's some logic to it. And there's also, I thought about this, the fact that last year we went into Gatlinburg where you're around tons of people. We didn't do that this year. But last year, we did go into a situation where we were around a shit ton of random people.
Yeah, very true.
But at the end of the day, I was like, every time I processed it, I'm like, I think there's a part of this that is a little bit of like PTSD from like you did this same thing last year, and when you track back like your current misery, it all goes to that moment.
Yeah, it's definitely an aspect of it, 100%, without question.
Yes. Which I've also thought about, there's a chance it didn't happen there because...
Like it could happen before the trip?
Could have happened before, could have happened after. As far as we know, I was patient 0 and I gave it to Corinne, who gave it to you. But we only believe that because Corinne tells the story of how she took a sip of my water and she knew she shouldn't have.
Look, I don't put that much weight because like in that story, I mean, that is like a anecdotal evidence, but it's not evidence. You know what I mean? It's that could have potentially been a thing.
And I talked
but also
to her.
we were in the same house together for 3 days straight.
Right.
Like 7 or 8 people.
And
Erica and I both did not get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, which is
what leads evidence to Corinne's story.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Well, yeah, but also, I was talking to Corinne this weekend, and she's like, and I was kind of poking at that story a little bit, and just like, you know, we've been believing that, but that there's not a lot of reason to believe it other than it happened, and she was like, yeah, I think partially by believing that there was that she had control, that she made a poor choice, and that choice led to it. Like she has a sense of agency, and it makes her feel a little bit better in a way. Does that make sense?
It could. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that tracking.
So, but it's also possible because we spend time before the cabin and after the cabin together that I gave it to you before or after, or I didn't give it to you. And I mean, Corinne can be patient 0 for all we know.
For all we know.
But
or it could be someone else who was there who just had no symptoms and didn't know. You know, who knows? Like, there's no way to really track that.
There's no way to really know. It could have been not the cabin at all. But in either case, the story that we have made up to explain where the hell COVID came from with us starts at the cabin. And so for you, there's like a PTSD there.
Sure, which I hate the term PTSD in anything that doesn't refer to like soldiers who are in
PTSD.
war.
Oh, shit.
Like real PTSD.
You have PTSD. This is your PTSD. This is what's going to get you those free injections.
Like, I do understand that it is a medical term that applies to other things as well, but sometimes I just feel like recently I've been seeing it used so flippantly that I feel like that's like downplays like the real PTSD that like soldiers in war experience.
Dude, I think this is really good news. You can get your shots now because you have PTSD.
That was just perfect sound effect, perfect timing. Couldn't have been better. So I haven't talked about this a whole lot in depth. I've mentioned it all the fucking time. But because I can't not. But I don't talk about it in depth. I don't think I've ever talked about it in this much depth. But now that I definitely feel like I've been like suppressing talking about this. And now it's like, that's why I have so much to say.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, a big part of it is like, I'm not trying to like burden everyone I know with this long story. Just you now on the podcast.
Yeah.
But it's just like, nobody can do anything about it. Like, it doesn't matter like in how it affects anybody else's life outside of I'm just, not around as much.
Yeah, but I think it at the least it helps to explain to your friends so that then
they get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so like,
which I do want. I want everybody that I know to understand it, but I also don't believe that they can. It's because like you don't really
you're that fucking special.
I'm fucking special as shit. But just because like if you don't experience it, it's something you can't really understand the depth of how much it affects you and affects your life. Which is why normally I just tell people, I'm just like, I just can't eat most foods. And that's just the end of the story, because it's like, what am I gonna sit there and explain for 45 minutes the depth of my current misery? Like, it's just, I don't know, there's not a lot of benefit to that.
Yeah. When I move this mic, it makes a sound.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
now you don't have to be surprised every time.
Well, no, before you moved it, and my mic started bouncing.
Oh yeah.
And when it bounces, because of like the way the hydraulics work, it like goes higher and higher.
There are no hydraulics, but
Yeah, hydraulics. Obviously, these are very advanced mic stands.
it's like a metal band
It's just
that has been
it's just like a
stretched.
spring. I don't.
Yeah.
But anyways, when it bounces, it just goes higher and higher, and
I
it
see.
was like walking away from me. That's why I was surprised
see.
last time.
I see.
This time was because of the popping sounds. Next time it'll be something new. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, as a verbal processor myself, I think it's just helpful to like talk about what you're going through for your own benefit.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
For instance, I once heard Jordan Peterson, controversial Canadian. I referenced, so I do like a karaoke event, like for tourists, and I happened to have some people from Canada, and they said something, and something Jordan Peterson said was like very applicable in the moment, and it was an apolitical statement. But I don't know where these random Canadians lie on the spectrum. They might love that I'm referencing someone from their country. They might hate Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
So
weirdly,
said,
a lot of people do for how reasonable of a person he is.
Yeah, although I will say he has put out some videos recently where he just sounds a lot more angry and
probably is.
divisive. Yeah, after like being in a hospital for a year, he seems like a
And
little.
also just being in the hostile situation that he is. Like
Yeah.
every interview he goes on is so hostile.
He also has started being a part of whatever Ben Shapiro's thing is called.
Yeah, the group of smart dudes or whatever he calls it.
No, no,
That thing?
no. His actual thing, Daily Wire.
Oh, okay.
So because he's a part of Daily Wire, it like the videos they seem to be putting out seem to have more of a political bent because it's more of a political site.
That makes
So
sense.
he's starting to take on a little more of like a conservative pundit tone than he used to have. So
I don't like that. I like when he was just a reasonable dude.
right, and I think
And I'm sure
he's probably
still
still
is,
a reasonable
yeah.
dude, but some of the videos I've seen, like how they're doing it, I'm like I feel like this is partially their coaching or producing a little bit, but maybe not. In either case, with these Canadians, so because knowing that he can be a divisive figure, I was like, controversial Canadian Jordan Peterson said. At which point they were like, I'm glad you said that. Oh my God, we hate him. And I was like, okay.
and you're like, oh, I'm glad I said it that way.
Yeah. So anyway, I once heard controversial Canadian Jordan Peterson say that if you have a memory that's older than 18 months, which yours isn't older than 18 months, but
No.
if you have a memory that's older than 18 months, a painful memory, and when you revisit it, it still causes you pain now, it's because you haven't fully processed it yet. Like you haven't fully gone through it. Whatever the fuck processing is, like taking its
Sure.
lessons or just going through it. And so what he says you need to do is to go through it with somebody. Like if you're helping somebody through that, like go through it in intensive detail and be as specific as possible and have them relive those memories as specifically as possible. And so like, I mean, it's basically kind of the whole underlying theory of therapy is that just by you talking through those things and like reliving them, you kind of end up getting out some of the edge to the pain and eventually, and it was helpful for me. I did therapy one time for like 6 months and I think I'll do it again. But I hit a point after a few months, however long I did it for, where I was like, I don't need this for a while. Like I've done enough of this. But I see its helpfulness because there are stories from my past about childhood and whatever else that it used to be harder to explain to people. Like if I shared it with somebody and tried to do it like with the emotional depth of the story and like really go through it, even though it was a long, long time ago, it still caused some level of pain. It
Sure.
brought up a lot of anxiety to share. And I'd share it anyway, but I would just feel anxious the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I've realized like just even recently having a newer girlfriend and sharing with her old stories, I'm like, I'm not feeling very anxious sharing this with you. And so I think there's something to just like recounting the stories, going through the emotion again. And partially, I think, just a armchair theory here, that have you heard that, memories are really, really flexible? Mm-hmm. And
right. I've actually heard it explained as, wait, where did I hear this? Did you fucking say this like last week or something? I don't know where I heard this. I feel like it was recently, though. Could have been on another podcast I listened to. But someone said every time you remember something, you're not actually remembering it. You're just remembering the last time you remembered it.
I've heard it said like that.
And so over time, it's like the game of telephone. Mm-hmm. And what you remember changes, and what you felt changes, and it can.
Yeah. I think that framing is, I would just guess, is a little bit strong.
Maybe. And I don't even remember where I heard it.
But there's some accuracy to it, because what happens is what I've heard is that when you remember something and access it, you can also overwrite bits and pieces. And so you can actually sort of actively change your memories.
Isn't that like how people beat like lie detector tests? Like they convince themselves that what they like, the thought in their head is actually true, right? They change their memory a little bit.
I've heard that. Yeah. Yes. I think there's some accuracy to that. And so you can sort of reform your memories, but the brilliant thing is that, especially when it comes to like childhood trauma or things that happened to you when you were a lot younger, before your prefrontal cortex fully developed, or when you had less life experience and perspective, is like now you go ahead and remember that, but you look at it through an adult's eyes and you kind of re-experience it with your current knowledge and experience, and you realize things that kind of like really bummed you out when you were a kid. You look at it a new way. And either
that makes sense.
And that might be, oh, that doesn't bum me out anymore. Or it might be like, wow, that was really hard, or that was tough, and you now have empathy for yourself as a child because you're like, wait a minute, you shouldn't be treating a child that way, or whatever. Like, or you see your parents through the perspective of an adult, and you go, oh, they were like my age, like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Things like that. And I think that's kind of one of the underlying theories of like why therapy can work, or what it does, is just like to revisit it, to kind of go through that emotion again. But as an adult, you've accessed that memory, and now you sort of change it a little bit. And instead of like a really immature child coming to conclusions about what this means, now an adult has a second to like reprocess that and go, whoa, what a 7-year-old thought about this isn't right. That doesn't mean I'm a piece of shit. It means my dad said a thing this one time.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
now I will say,
yeah.
I have issues with therapy.
Oh, I know by the slight look on your face when I mentioned the word therapy.
I do not think therapy is a bad thing. I think that it helps a lot of people. My personal issue with therapy is that I don't trust them. I don't trust therapists. I don't know them. That's someone I don't know. I don't need to share my secrets with you. I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't know what you think. And anything that you say back to me, I don't know that I can trust because I don't know you. Where I feel like I am, like, I don't keep secrets, really. Like, I don't have many secrets. I'm not a secrets kind of guy. I tend to just say what I mean and say what I think and just be who I am, no matter who is around. But I also don't trust most people. I'm selective with who I trust, and those are the people who I would share these kinds of things with, or on the internet.
For everyone.
Just because, like, I mean, because to me, I'm just talking to you, right? It's different. It feels different.
So,
but like, I don't see myself talking to a therapist in that way. Though I have talked to therapists in the past, a couple times in my life, when I was forced to as a kid.
Which might be why you don't trust them, because you were forced to as a kid.
Well, it's not just them though.
Yeah.
I mean, though, I do have specific reasons for not trusting therapists.
Yeah.
Just the things I've read and things that accounts that I've heard, more anecdotal things than anything, which only hold so much water. But it is not just therapists. I just don't trust strangers. Like, I don't trust people until I believe there is a reason for me to trust them.
Yeah. So to agree with you, my therapist, and one reason one of the reasons I eventually stopped, had some particular perspectives about life that contradicted my own perspectives about life. And they began to coach me in a way that was not the way I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it actually ended up being a net benefit because I was able to look at things through their lens, and it ended up working out for me. But once I could tell their own personal biases and had to filter through that, it kind of ruined the whole thing for me.
Yeah,
and I
I
was
get
like, ooh, I know how you think now. Like, and that kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I totally am with you that if somebody's own thoughts come into it and they're trying, once somebody starts trying to coach you, it's problematic if you don't agree with what they want you to do. But that being said, I think I think that they were in the wrong to do that. And I think that the way it's supposed to work, and what this therapist also did do most of the time, was just listen and ask you questions to process yourself.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the talking cure, right? That's the premise behind that. Yeah, and I like I said, I don't think therapy is a bad thing, and I think that it helps a lot of people. I would never say don't go to therapy if you want to go to therapy. I just think with my personality type, I'm not interested. Like I would much rather, like I'd rather talk to you than a therapist, because I know you. I know I can trust you. I've known you for a long time. I know there's things I disagree with you on and things I agree with you on, and I know those things to be able to filter appropriately.
For me, the very best part of therapy was that I didn't know them and I didn't care what they thought.
Oh, you see, I've just transcended, Ryan, over the years where I care less and less over time. Not completely, but less and less over time if people don't like me or people think something bad about me.
I know that you have moved more and more in that direction.
I'm fine just being who I am, and if people don't like that, fuck them. That's my current opinion. Yes.
I would say the need to say fuck you if you don't like who I am.
Well, I don't actually say fuck you.
Yeah.
I just generally don't hang out with that person that much. Like if they don't like me,
I think that there's something really nice to talking through your things with a person where you don't care what they think. They're not a part of your social circle. It doesn't matter how they respond. It doesn't affect things. It's not going to affect anyone you know or anything like that. And to
I feel like my wife sent you here.
Oh, no. This is my experience with therapy.
My wife loves therapy.
So I never wanted to go to therapy. And my mom, when we were young, would like almost threaten therapy at times. Like when she would go through a divorce, she'd be like, weird. Yeah, she'd be like, you guys need to be in therapy. You know, you did something she didn't like. You're like, we need family therapy. And it sounded like a punishment. So I never wanted to do it. I only did it when everything went down with my brother. And that was it was just so obviously wild that I was like, I should do something about this. Maybe I should try therapy. And I literally already had an appointment for a therapist for him. And so I was going to have to call them and cancel it. Instead, I was like, could I just do it? And so I did. But it's weird because there's a lot of stigma around therapy because it like sort of implies that you're fucked up. But once I
don't believe the stigma.
Yeah, once I did it and just realized you're literally talking to a person.
And also, everybody's fucked up. So it's not special. Like, everyone's fucked up. Like, that makes sense.
But the two things that I found to be of biggest benefit, one was I realized I like processing my life. I like sharing things out loud. I think, yesterday I had a tough situation. And I was just feeling some negative emotions. And so I just had to talk, to my girlfriend for like a super long ass time. sharing how I was feeling and thinking through what it meant and reframing the situation until I could understand it enough to feel like essentially I just had to get the bad emotions out. And the only way I could do that is by talking it through it enough to where I understood what I could have done differently, understood why things happened, understand what part was my responsibility, what wasn't. And once I kind of understood everything and had said all my shit, I was like, okay, I can kind of move on now. Otherwise, I'll just get stuck. I found myself stuck thinking in a negative cycle. And I was just like, it sucked because I'm just like, I want to flip the switch and just not be thinking these negative things.
Sure.
But the only way I was able to do it was just like, I got to talk through it for like a really long time. I'm sorry. But the benefit with the therapist is so it's just really, really good to get that out. But also, I couldn't believe, because I've always liked to talk through things with people, I couldn't believe how freeing it was that it was with a person that I didn't give a fuck about seeing them tomorrow and them not thinking about me differently or be thinking about what we had just talked about.
Sure.
Or biggest of all, and would be the big one for you, is they are not burdened by having gone through it because you're paying them and that's their job. So I can talk for an hour to them about my Perosmia, and I don't have to feel like I just ruined their day or just dominated the conversation, because that was the point.
See, that doesn't actually bother me so much. Like, if I'm telling you a story, I don't care how long it is, you better fucking listen to my story, because I consider myself a decent storyteller. Good.
No,
even.
you do not.
I consider myself you're right. I consider myself a great fucking storyteller.
Thank you.
I think I'm good at it. I think I'm good, and I have stories, and the thing... and I think that... The thing is, I refine stories over time, and like I tell the same stories a lot, and I feel like I'm good at it. I feel like I can become I tell a lot of good stories. This was just off the cuff, but I think I did a pretty good job at telling this story even. But it was just off the cuff. But it wasn't planned. I didn't. I've never told this story at this length. But that being said, I don't mind that aspect of telling people, unless I'm trying to do something else. That's the only thing. If I feel like I'm wasting time, like I'd rather be doing something fun right now. I don't need to talk about this, but also I don't process verbally in the same way. I am very much an internal processor. However, I do like other people who I value to understand. But I think everybody does. That's not unique to me. That's standard. That's pretty basic.
That's floor model.
Yeah, exactly. This is your base model. No extras, no sunroof. And so I do like that. And so I'm willing to do that for that reason. I'm willing to tell these things for that reason. Where I don't give a fuck if a therapist understands. I don't care. I don't know you. Fuck off. What are your opinions about these things? It means nothing to me. Whether they're good opinions or bad opinions, it just doesn't mean anything to me. There's no value.
And I think generally speaking, most people you talk to therapy about, for the most part, their therapist isn't giving a lot of opinions.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's probably standard, right? It's probably not really what's supposed to happen.
But the other thing that I found really valuable was being able to say certain things out loud that were things I had just thought, particularly for me when it's like a more negative or a darker thought. Because the darker shit inside your head, you can reason through. I mean, you reason through internally, like this. Okay, doesn't really mean this, like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you can reason through that just fine. But like when there's a lot of value in saying out loud to another person, like saying it the darkest fucking way you could, rather than sugarcoating it to be tolerable for another person.
Sure.
So this wouldn't be mine, but just for sake of like illustration, if I had like murderous thoughts, if you were gonna, I don't. But
really, you just kind of came up with that out of nowhere. You could have said anything, Ryan.
No, I just thought of something really dark that like isn't a part of me, so I don't mind sharing it to the internet. But if I had like murderous thoughts, right? If you were sharing that with a normal friend, you might be like, man, I got to open up to you about the secret, blah, 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 blah. You know, sometimes I just almost feel like I could kill somebody. I would never kill somebody. I mean, you know, I would kill somebody. I could never do that. I've never done that. I would never do that. But like, it's almost like I could think about killing someone. Like I feel that level of rage. I would never do it. I couldn't do that. I've never done. Don't worry. I've never thought about killing you. Like we're fine. But with the therapist, it's like they've heard crazier shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
So then you can feel like, okay, I once elaborately planned out the death of my, third grade teacher. Or something shit like that. This is not real to me at all. My third grade teacher was actually Miss Poole, not my mom, not related to us at all. Just she happened to be named Miss Poole. She was great, loved her. All I'm saying is it's kind of cool to be able to share your darkest shit in the darkest way possible, because it gives you a chance to see the monster inside of your head in real life and realize that it has no actual power, because you go, all right, that's dumb as shit. Like you're like, sometimes I almost feel like I could have murdered her. And then you go, I don't want to murder anybody. I've never murdered. Why do I feel that like, why do I feel normally like I might have to suppress that thought? That's not a part of me. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
I'm not trying to convince you to go to therapy in this conversation.
Sure. But yeah. I what you're saying makes sense. But a lot of these things that you're saying, I'm like, I kind of see them through the lens of like, that's not quite how I work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you and I have very different personalities. Though we are very similar in other ways, but we have very different personalities and we function different. The way we just are internally wired is just opposite, just straight up. And same with me and your sister. Like she's very similar to you. And very different than me. But
she's also very different from me.
She's also very different from you in other ways. But you guys do share a lot of similarities. A lot of freaking like mirror matches. So I'm like, yeah, like I see what you're saying, and I think you're right. I don't think you're wrong. I just don't know that it necessarily applies as much in the same way, at least to me. But also, I'm just super not interested in therapy. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not trying to convince you to do it.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, like, those two things for me are the parts of it. Because when you were saying, like, I get value out of sharing that to people who are close to me, those are the two things of why it was. Those are two things you get out of it that you cannot get with a person you're friends with.
Sure. Yeah, I see that.
And even like this, like for instance, like we just had, a pretty long chat about your Perosmia, right? Like you can do that this week and it's great. But if you did it next week and the week after, and like every episode from here on out was you need to talk about your things.
God, this would be an annoying podcast.
Right. But like, if you still need to talk about it,
sure, you
next
just
week,
can.
You can.
Sure.
Because typically with friends, like we can have the, and I don't mean you and me. I mean, for a friend of mine, we can have a time where like, hey, it's just kind of more about me this time, and I got to really open up about these things, or really got to share some stuff.
Right, but you can't do that every time.
You can't do that every time.
You're a shitty friend.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to have the relational equity. It's got to go back and forth.
Right.
But sometimes you need or want a little more attention. And it's great for that to not have to rely all of that on the people around you and go, there's this other person that I kind of share these things with. We go through this shit. And now I don't have as much I have to do with my people. Only things that actually concern them or matter.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, there's a lot of good things about therapy. It's why I've never said that people shouldn't go. Like, I mean, I've had like kind of a similar but evolving stance on therapy over the years. And all along, I've thought it is valuable there's a lot of benefits to it, and it is valuable for a lot of people. And if you're getting things out of it, you should keep doing it. And if you are interested in doing it, you should do it. But I also think that in our current culture, it has become like you got to do therapy. I'm like, no, you don't. That is not the only answer.
As soon as you do it, maybe it's also just a personality type, but I feel like most people who do it are like, oh, this was valuable, and I had a bunch of reasons I thought I didn't want to do this before, but now that I do it, I just see the value. Even though Again, full disclosure, I'm not in therapy now, and I don't have plans to get into it soon. Although recently I've been thinking, it might be helpful to have this, so I can just have less of these chats with my girlfriend, and like and
Take
just
the
like
burden off of her.
exactly, and I'm just like let me have my anxiety over here, like you know what I mean. So
Yeah, I see that.
now
But
with that, hard topic shift. You got some things to say about this topic, Ron?
let's see. Did I cover everything? I think I covered pretty much everything. I think.
Do you want to go back to
it's-
Perosmia? Was there anything else?
Is there anything else about Parosmia? I don't know. I think I covered how terrible it was pretty clearly, or is still ongoing, but it has been slowly getting better. But I really need meat back. I just God, I've realized since this started that my favorite food, without question, is pizza. And I have not had pizza in a long ass. I keep trying to eat pizza. Like if there's pizza around, if I'm somewhere and there's pizza, I'll take a bite, and I regret it every time.
Wow.
Can you eat just like cheese pizza?
No, well, so the problem is the sauce, garlic and onion. A lot of times are in the sauce.
Does Alfredo sauce have garlic in it?
Very much
Yeah,
has
it
lots
does,
of
right?
garlic. Alfredo sauce is awful, and so is ranch dressing.
Have you tried making your own pizza with your own sauce that
Well,
you've kept the bad things out of?
I had considered it, and I might. It's still on my plan, but the thing is, I couldn't eat the crust either until recently. Like the crust is a newer addition to my life that I can eat any kind of bread that's not gluten free. Which, by the way, gluten free bread, which I could eat, is fucking terrible. It's never good. I tried so many varieties. People said, "Well, this is the best one. It's just like real bread." It's not. Gluten-free bread is trash. If you're
To be
eating that by
fair-
choice, stop it.
To be fair, you presently have a problem with your taste. Where
No,
things
it's not the taste.
Like
the taste isn't the
trash.
problem. The taste was fine with gluten-free bread that I tried. Most of them, except for like one or two was like not good. The taste was fine, but it doesn't feel like bread. The texture is wrong. It doesn't toast the same.
No, it's definitely more like cardboard.
Yeah, it's like fucked up. It's not bread. It's not that close to even the ones that are like, this is just like real bread. It's not. Stop lying to people and telling them it's bread. It sucks. Gluten-free bread is trash. Anyways, if you have celiac disease, I'm sorry. Keep eating your bullshit. But if you're anybody else, stop it.
Okay, I feel like celiac disease is definitely similar to what you're talking about. In the sense that like most people who say they're gluten-free, I don't believe them.
Yeah, 100%.
But like there's people who really actually need to be.
They need to be. And like if you need to be, like, bummer.
But like how many times have you or I probably been like,
If I hear someone just tell me they're gluten-free and they are not, don't seem like a reasonable adult to me, I don't believe them. That's straight up just the truth. Like if they're in college, I don't believe them. Straight up, I don't believe you. If you're in college right now and you're telling me you're gluten-free, but don't tell me you have celiac disease. If you tell me you have celiac, I'll believe you. If you tell me, I don't eat gluten.
well, here's the thing about celiac disease.
Like you could, though.
I think I have heard that it is not actually diagnosable. So they just
Didn't your mom get diagnosed
they
with
like
it, though?
infer that you have celiac disease based on things.
I thought it was testable. Is it not?
So I thought it was too, and then I
mean, I
think
don't know
I
that
heard
much
that
about
they
it.
can't exactly prove it.
Interesting.
And so it's kind of like, hey, you probably have celiac disease.
Yeah, and you know,
I
if-
could be wrong.
If when you eat bread,
Fact check me.
you feel like shit, so you choose to eat gluten-free bread, that's fine with me. It just really annoys me how many people absolutely aren't.
Right. One of the hard things about health stuff in general is there are things, a lot of people self-diagnosing. And for the audio-only listeners, I'm staring at Jerry. And sometimes you can be relatively well certain that maybe you probably have that thing. But there's a lot of illnesses where actually they can't exactly fully tell you that's what you have. And so you do your best guessing. But I just wonder with some people, and not you, but some people, how much like a psychosomatic response comes in where people are like, yeah, I mean, like when you just said bread, like every time I eat bread, I feel terrible. And just like, it does put a grain of distrust in my head. There's a part of me that's like, but is that just what you think though?
But also, okay, well, here's the thing. The reason it annoys me is only when it affects me. If, like, I can't go to a certain restaurant, or I can't eat a certain food, or I can't order a certain pizza. That fucking annoys me when I don't believe you. Like, I know that your mom has celiac, And so it doesn't bother me that when she visits, we go to certain places because that is just something that you have to do. But it's just like some fucking guy. You know what I mean?
I have a better moral for your movie. Over the years, you've judged people that say that they have these things that are unprovable and it's affecting your life and it's been frustrating to you. You didn't have empathy. Now, he's going to have to learn a whole new lesson when he learns his taste and loses his taste in a disease no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, but it's like, it only annoys me when it affects me. Because otherwise, I'm just like, do what you want. And if people don't, and if you like don't want to eat gluten for any reason, even if it's just a personal choice, like, fucking do you. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care.
My dad was a grain.
Yeah, like, I don't care. Like, that's what you want to do. Is how you want to live your life. Do that because you're not hurting anybody until you are. And that's the thing is when it affects me, if it's your choice, we're going to the fucking restaurant I want to go to. If it's a medical reason, I'll do whatever it needs to do to take care of you. So that's the difference.
In general, I think you've made it abundantly clear in your life that like one of your high values is not imposing on other people.
Yeah, I don't think you should be imposing upon people, generally speaking.
Like I would say it's like one of your like
it's a tenet.
Top 10 things. So how has it been having Parosmia where have you felt like you're imposing on other people?
Only my wife, but she married me, so she's gotta. We're like, when we go out to eat, we get sushi. Like, that's all we get, sushi and poke bowls. Like, I know you want a burger, but like, that ain't happening right now. I can't eat that, and you're my wife, so you got to deal with me. I mean, obviously eat some things I can't eat. I buy my own groceries and stuff, but outside of that, I tend to if I'm more likely to remove myself than be a burden on people.
Right. So yeah, have you been removing yourself from situations so that you wouldn't be a burden?
Maybe not consciously. Like, because most places, if I go somewhere that if this would be a burden to people, it's just because I can't eat, and so I just don't eat. Like, that doesn't really. I mean, generally, I probably do less things subconsciously, maybe because of those reasons. Maybe I don't know, because it's subconscious, if anything.
It's like one of the motivations for why you would go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. It might be a
drink.
Right. And in fact, most of what you do in life is going places to eat and drink, and you don't realize that until you can't. But that's like what everybody does all the time. That's like the main thing that people do, more than anything else.
Have you found any replacements, like things that you can do to like fill the void of food and drink?
No, I mean, I can drink alcohol. Like, most alcohols are fine or they're a little off. But in drinks in general, I can kind of get by because they're just, it's just a moment. It's quick. You don't chew it. It's just in and out. You can kind of, I'll suffer it. I'll drink alcohol. I'm not going to not drink alcohol because it tastes bad. Because the first time you drink alcohol, guess what? It tastes bad. You know what I mean? Like, no one had their first sip of alcohol and was like, wow, that is delicious. No, it's always like, Jesus Christ, I'm never going to drink again. Why would people drink this? And then over time, you're like, this is amazing.
You're just slowly acquiring the taste for trash.
Yeah, that's got to be. Like, it might be happening. But, anything, if it's like too delicious.
Real life Oscar the Grouch. That would be the clickbait title for this article.
But yeah, so I think I have probably stayed home more than I may have otherwise because of this, for sure. But I've never consciously made the decision not to go somewhere because of how it would affect somebody else. Because I believe that if I just fucking shut the fuck up about it and just don't eat, then it's fine. Then it doesn't affect anybody. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll still like mention it offhandedly because I just think about it all the time. So I end up mentioning it all the time. But
you do it in a way where it's like a party trick.
Yeah. I bring it up. I say a quick thing about it, and then people, oh my God, that's crazy, and then we move on. Like, it's fine. And then they understand why I'm not eating anything.
And then one time we did a taste test with everybody.
We did? Oh,
yeah.
That was like when it first started, right?
At Wesley and Erica's, one of their parties.
Like Christmas party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a little week that it started. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was very novel at the time.
Yeah. And yeah, now everybody's fucking over it, which I don't blame them because I mention it all the time. I'd be annoyed by me if mentioned it this much time.
I don't think anybody's annoyed.
Oh, I'm annoyed.
Are you annoyed, Wesley?
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody's annoyed.
Maybe not, but I would say you have a right to be annoyed by it because of how much I've mentioned it. But But nonetheless, like that hasn't
ultimately,
that
we're
hasn't
not
stopped me from doing anything.
we're not thinking about it
Right.
until you say it.
Right.
And so every time you say it, I'm like, oh, that's still happening?
Yeah, it's probably more. I would guess people would get annoyed. People I talk to every single day, of which there's not many people I talk to every single day, but there are quite a few. There are some, I guess. I talk to a lot on the internet, on the online people when I play games and shit on like Discord. I talk to those people a lot. They hear about it way more than anybody else.
Are you ready for a subject change?
Well, anything's fine with me.
Okay, so last night, as you know, I went and saw John Mulaney live. Okay. So we had 3 openers. First of all, I'll just say it was an amazing experience. It was phenomenal. Having 3 openers was great.
It's a lot of openers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The first set was probably like 10 minutes or something, and you know, they ramped it up. So like but it was helpful to reintroduce us to the experience of, or just introduce you to the experience of being in a room, watching a person on stage, talking and doing comedy, and getting everybody comfortable with laughing and all those things. You know, like to warm you up, really. And so that was just good for its own sake. The first comedian, I don't know his name. Wesley, if you can find out who opened for John Mulaney at the Ryman, that'd be great. But he was hilarious. He kind of reminded me of Dave Chappelle, which I don't know if that's racist just because he's black. I'm like, oh, he was like Dave Chappelle.
Well, was he hilarious?
He was.
But it's not racist because Dave Chappelle's the #1 best stand-up comedian of all time.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm like, I hope I'm not comparing him to Dave Chappelle just because he's black. But I think some of his actual, like, he was doing slightly political stuff, but he managed to keep it sort of centrist. And to me, that's kind of Dave Chappelle. But also,
depends who you ask after these last few.
Oh yeah. But also he managed to. I think just some of his swagger and just some of how he mannerisms, how he intonated certain words, like how he spoke. There were certain moments where it sounded similar, almost like I'm sure it's a hero of his because it's probably a hero for most comedians. So I felt like I was seeing a little bit of Chappelle's flavor in it. In either case, he was very, very funny. Second guy, his name's Dan, I think Levy. And he comes out and they're like, comedian Dan Levy. And I look over to Ashley and I'm like, oh, I've heard of this guy before. And then he goes, I'm Dan Levy, not Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek. And I was like, oh, no, I've heard of Dan Levy. He was fine. He was funny, but it wasn't didn't blow me away. And then surprise guest, Nate Bargatsky.
Oh, I love Nate Bargatsky. He's awesome. He's like become over the last 6 months higher and higher on my list of comedians. Because he lives here. He lives here in Nashville. Right?
They're all the Tennessee Kid. So, okay, I haven't had an interesting experience with him because the second they said his name, I was like, I know him. Yeah. And then he walks out and I'm like, it's the guy from TV. Yay. And I think he just comes off as a very likable person.
Yeah.
Even though he's not charismatic.
No, he's very deadpan.
I
love that.
But I'm like, I like that guy. And I'm like, and he's here. But then I didn't laugh as much during him as I did the opener who I'd never heard of.
Was it new material or was it
was new material.
Special?
Or stuff I hadn't heard.
I think he does have a new special out. Which I really enjoyed. That's what I'm thinking. I watched something of his lately. I think it was a new special, or maybe an older special. I don't know.
So I had a few thoughts about it. One is, I do think when I've watched his specials that he doesn't make me uproariously laugh.
Sure.
But I enjoy it. But with the deadpan, I think maybe because the first 2 guys were very animated, and then he is him. And I'm like, I wonder if I got used to that high energy. Every time they switch from one comedian to the next, you're kind of you have to sort of reset to their vibe.
Sure.
And in fact, I think I heard Nate Bargatsky just say that on a podcast. And so...
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I was just listening to him on a podcast, and I feel like he just mentioned that. We must have listened to the exact same thing very recently.
And so... and so... I think maybe I just wasn't used to his vibe. Like I think I needed, because it's like a lower key energy and we just went from high energy, I think maybe I would have needed more time to like really get into it. But all I know is I laughed less with him than with the two unknowns or people I don't know. But I really like him. And so it was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, I like that guy's there right now. But I wasn't laughing very hard.
Interesting.
But with that being said, it's also possible, especially if he did a special recently, that he's trying out new material and he's not doing we're not seeing his most refined
His polished,
version.
practiced. Yeah, maybe.
Which, especially being special guest and he's at the Ryman, I'm guessing he's not on the tour. He's just...
He lives here.
He lives here, and so
Right.
they called him out. And so he might not be in a spot where he's doing the same routine every single night. Like maybe the two openers are like, they're clearly less known than Nate Bargatsky.
Yeah.
So they're probably bringing their A game opening for John Mulaney.
Well, I mean, was John Mulaney filming a special? You know,
No,
because
he wasn't filming. But John Mulaney is on a tour. It's called From Scratch.
right. One of these will be filmed, I'm sure, and be on Netflix soon.
Exactly. So so John Mulaney is like building towards filming this content, and right now we're in his like refining process.
Right, where Nate Bargatze might be in his very beginning stages. If he's just released something.
Exactly. So I thought about that he may just be trying out material and stuff like that.
It's kind of like when Louis C.K. got, like, his special got leaked online, right? Do you remember this?
No.
It was a few years ago after he got hella canceled hard for things that I still say are gray area, and get off his back a little bit. He's a fucking comedian. But he's also my top 5 of all time, for sure. I love Louis C.K.
He's pulling his cock out.
Exactly. That is perfect. So apropos.
Maybe I have a gift.
Maybe the soundboard man. But he was I guess working out new material at like some smaller venue. I don't remember what it was. Like a fairly well-known comedy place, but it's just a smaller place. And
I just want to acknowledge. Maybe Wesley has the gift for picking the perfect sounds.
that's true. He did
that
set
will
all
come
these
into
sounds.
play.
Yeah, that's true.
2 to 3 weeks ago, he knew that this was coming.
You just press the button.
Yeah.
You're just a tool. But like he was working out some content, and he had a joke on the Parkland shooting.
Oh, I
the
do
Florida.
remember this, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like I've heard him recap the joke and like talk about what he was talking about on a podcast. I'm like, that's a fucking hilarious premise. But nonetheless, it got leaked when he was still working it out, and people got so outraged. And he was just, I'm just fucking working it out. Like, it's not a done joke yet. You know what I mean? Like, like you're not seeing the finished product. You're seeing like a in the middle. And I don't want to keep referencing other podcasts, but I will. Because I heard him recently talking about saying like what he'll do is he'll make a joke, and the groans of people tell him if he needs to like lessen it or like make it worse or make it less worse or how to refine it. Like the first version is the worst, most outlandish, degenerate version that then can be refined into a high quality, amazing bit. Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes good sense. I mean,
And
one
it
of the
got
problems
leaked early, and he was already canceled. That was the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the problems is that people started like reporting on what comedians say as though it were news or an opinion that they're sharing.
But it's jokes. It's a like
Dude,
who is it? Is it Tom Segura? It's the Ha Ha Show? One of his specials? Yeah.
I saw an interview a few nights ago with Trevor Noah and some reporter. And Trevor Noah is obviously he's obviously black. He's mixed race. This reporter was black. I don't know like what her exact ethnicity was, but she was British. And so two black people, and they're talking about race issues, and she was talking about things he had said about race that she was like, "Do you regret saying that?" And like essentially like this is contributing to negative race relations. And Trevor Noah is making a defense. I forget why I originally brought this up now, because I do so much careful conversation about race. But
Yeah.
but yeah, ha show. He was talking about that and about comedians, and she said something he said back to him. I don't even remember what it was. And she's like, "You said blah, 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 blah." And the way she was confronting him, and this was my point, the way she was confronting him was like he was a politician who was making a statement. And so he goes to her, "All right, what if I said to you, under my umbrella, Ella, A. I've not sang Rihanna's song Umbrella. Like, you're missing context of how she has tried to present it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I haven't sung it to you, essentially, is what he was saying. He's like, I didn't just perform the song. All I did was repeat back the words. You're missing all of what is going on in the song by just repeating back those lyrics verbatim. And, like, I thought it was a cool point.
That's a good point.
Of like,
good way to think about it.
When you say back something a comedian is saying as though it were a statement and then try to create outrage, it doesn't make any sense because that's not what's happening. Nobody was trying to make a statement. They're trying to make people laugh.
Right. Yeah. People. If you go to a show to see comedy, you're expecting that they're going to say things that are going to make you laugh. You're not expecting that they're giving a speech on their. They're not giving their manifesto.
Right.
Like, it's not like this is how the world should be. It's I'm saying ridiculous things because it's hilarious.
What like low level reporting that you're like, how are we gonna get clicks and how are we gonna get people to read our articles?
Right.
What you know who says some pretty crazy shit? Comedians who are joking,
Who are not being serious or making a point that is not the story. There's a point behind it.
The next level is to start doing that same thing, but with like movies. Like take moments from a
God.
script and then pretend like the actor said it.
Like cansel any actor who ever portrays Hitler. like you said, kill all the Jews.
yeah.
And you're like, it was a line. Or, we don't care. It's not that different. That's not that different.
Mike Myers opens up in a shocking confessional that he went to evil medical school. So anyway, back to John Mulaney. He comes out on stage, and it was a little interesting at first because he looked different than I expected, and he looked like a little worse somehow. Like maybe he had gained some weight. Like he just didn't look as good. But the thing is that then my brain adapted, and then I was like, no, he looks exactly the same. And so I don't know if it's just having seen him on TV versus seeing him 40 feet away and having a pillar next to him that I had to keep dodging. But he and eventually I didn't think that anymore. So I don't think he looks bad or anything. But I did at first like, he looks different. What's wrong? Like that kind of sensation. I think it was just like that difference. That uncanny valley kind of vibe. Yeah,
uncanny valley vibe. But so he just recently turned 40.
Yeah.
Which I only know because I stream on Twitch and one of the viewers texted me and or messaged me on Discord and they were just like, "Hey, you'll never believe who just rented out my workplace." This was like a couple weeks ago, and she works at like this arcade bowling alley place. And she told me, like, John Mulaney rented out the whole place for his 40th birthday. But here was the weird part. The guests, 10.
Whoa.
Where's all the rest of the guests, John? He rented out the whole place. Maybe he only likes 10 people. I don't know.
I'm sure he's renting out the whole place so that he...
Right, so everybody leaves him the fuck
privacy.
alone so he can do what he wants.
Which is weird because now I want to know like when it is and if we can go, but...
Yeah, we can't spoil that.
Yeah.
It may have already happened. I don't know.
And apparently there was only 10 invited. He probably doesn't want us there too.
Yeah, he only
But
wants
like we could definitely... If this was a TV show, we definitely would be there in like janitor outfits, like cleaning things up and... trying out our tight 5 in earshot.
Yeah, if you haven't picked up on it by now, we are generally fans of stand-up.
Yeah.
Pretty big fans of stand-up.
I'd be there. We'd be like talking to each other, and then I'd start going like, "You know what my mother-in-law said to me the other day?"
He'd just be like, "Please leave. Let's not do this. Nobody wants this to happen."
But I'll say this. So I don't want to like ruin his bits, but maybe afterwards I'll tell you some of them. But
no, don't ruin them. I'll watch on the special.
But what I will say First of all, I think it's probably going to be a minute before the special comes out because I went and looked at his Instagram later, and I learned some things. One, unrelated to what I was just about to say, his 40th birthday just happened. It's the same day as me.
Oh, shit.
August 26th is
Nice.
his birthday. So we're birthday pals or something. And then
It's a thing.
the other thing is I looked at his tour, and there's dates announced at least until February. And they keep adding more.
Well, that just means because he keeps selling tickets. I mean, who knows where they're filming it? I mean, it's probably Googleable where they're filming it, I would guess, because I'm guessing when you buy a ticket, you know.
To that one, maybe.
Maybe.
But maybe not, because they don't want people just going there thinking they're going to get on TV. They may surprise. But either way,
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, the whole process, as I understand it, is like they wait until like they've done the whole tour, and they're like as sharp and refined as possible and so tight, and they do it at the end. And the special sort of ends the like he's getting all of his use of doing that material live now. Then the special caps that off. Now it's available to everyone. And that ends that tour, and now he starts working on new material. At least that's how I've heard it described about other comedians. So if that's his process, that means
It'll be a
that
while.
it's not going to be filmed until at least February or March, and maybe a while after that, and then it probably takes months before it gets released. So you're probably not looking at a new John Mulaney special until like spring next year, if I'm guessing.
Nah.
So I could ruin the jokes, and you wouldn't know. But I won't. So instead, what I will say of interest to you especially is he talks at length about his drug problem, and it's sort of it follows the trend of modern comedians when they've had a big fuck up publicly, where their next special addresses that a lot. But you'll be glad to know he didn't ruin it.
Thank God.
Because a lot of comedians, I mean, you could describe this better than anybody, but, you know,
Yes.
why don't you share what comedians do?
Here's the thing. Okay, so I love stand-up comedy, and I think that there is a lot of different ways to do stand-up, and especially evidenced recently, in the last couple of years, with Bo Burnham's Netflix special that he filmed inside of his own house during quarantine.
Yeah.
Which was phenomenal. I did not think I was going to like it. I liked Bo Burnham before that, but I didn't love Bo Burnham before that. Now I cannot wait for whatever the next special is. Or has there been one since? I don't think so. If there wasn't, I hadn't heard about it. But that was phenomenal. It was a work of art. It was freaking genius. It was so good. If you haven't seen it yet, what's it called? Inside? Is that what it's called?
Sounds right.
You should check it out. Definitely worth a watch. Yes, I have found that. Okay, so here's my theory on comedians. Their first special, they come out, it's funny, it's great. That's where you grow to love them. The second special, even better. Second special is like the best special most of the time. It's just so good. I remember specifically with Kevin Hart, I loved his second special the most, and with Aziz Ansari, I love the second special the most.
Yeah.
Aziz, I feel like I can't say his name without saying it like that.
What's your favorite John Mulaney special?
Comeback Kid.
Me too. Second special.
Is it? Okay, I don't know the orders of
Now,
those.
to be fair, it's not actually his second special. It's his second Netflix special. And I think
Sure.
that still tracks.
I think it could still track. I think there's an argument
Because
to be made
his
there.
first special isn't available on video anywhere. It's just like that I know of. It's just an audio special. So,
okay. I haven't heard that. I should listen to that. I don't think I
Yeah.
have, at least.
Are you about to share your theory of why that is? Because I also have a theory of why that is.
Yeah, I do. So, and I think, I mean, okay. I'm actually going to skip that. I'll let you do your theory because my theory is about the third and beyond specials.
Yeah, I think I have the same theory.
So, okay, I'll go into that, which is I think that they start being very successful and they start making more money and they become less relatable.
Yes, that's exactly what I think.
However, I don't think this has been the case for every stand-up. But I think that sometimes there's one specific thing that stand-ups do that I personally don't like. I don't think it's wrong. You do whatever you want. It's your thing.
Yeah, wait, before you move on to that.
Okay.
To like exactly mirror you here. First special, they're an underdog.
They're trying really hard.
They're giving their best, and no one knows them, and they're like a regular guy.
Now, at the point that you're getting a special, like you have a good amount of success already. If you're getting a special, right? But you're not a household name. You're not
a
massive.
public figure.
Yeah.
You're not wealthy.
Right. You're not. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You're not wealthy.
You're like
yet.
good at your craft, but you're just a person and so you have like very relatable problems.
This is your big break.
And then the second special, should you get one, now they're better.
Pros.
They're pros. They've now toured the world, and they're like so much more refined. They're doing a better version. But it is usually around the third that they are like a household name. They're rich and they're famous, and they do some big shit. For John Mulaney, it was not Madison Square Garden. It was Carnegie Hall. For I forget the name of the special off the top of my head.
Yeah, and how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Right. And then
Have you not heard that?
I know I have. I was just like, wait, there's an answer. And then, Kevin Hart does like giant things in massive stadiums.
Yeah, his third one was I was not a big fan of it, but he did have that raccoon story.
That was funny.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was his third, right?
Dane Cook did those things where he's like in a giant circle.
That was
in the middle of Madison Square Garden and all that.
That was the second, I think.
Maybe.
I love that special. Dane Cook, I feel like, is such an underrated comedian. Like, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he went. I have no idea. I don't know the Dane Cook story, but I just know when he came out, a lot of people were shitting on him, and I thought he was hilarious. I was like, why are so many people mad at this guy?
We talked about this in a previous episode recently, and I was going to share what I heard, but I think I got we got sidetracked.
Sounds like us.
And so I'll jump straight to the point, which is to say he's working on something new now.
Ooh.
He's coming back.
I'm excited. That special was like the special that made me. There were two specials that made me love stand-up, and it was the Dane Cook's that special where he's in the circle. I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
and the logo that's the logo of the special. That I'm doing a hand motion for people listening. Google it. That one, but my favorite special of all time, which is the thing that started me loving stand-up. Was it mid-90s, early 90s special? I don't remember the year. Dave Chappelle Killing Them Softly. Oh, I've watched that, I don't know, 50 times. It is in my opinion, it's the best stand-up special that's ever been made. It's phenomenal. Those are what got me into it. I don't remember why I said that, because you had said something that made me think that.
Well, I was explaining back to our main point. I was explaining to Ashley last night, the third special. Mm-hmm. They're usually a household name, they're famous, they're wealthy, and a lot of things happen. Sometimes it's that they start feeling unrelatable because the trappings of wealth. Sometimes I've noticed they start like giving a lot of celebrity references because now they themselves are a celebrity and they have lots of celebrity friends, and it almost becomes like celebrity gossip on stage.
Oh, you're right. I never thought about that one, but yeah, I think you're right.
And yeah, sometimes when they become famous, they stop having that. And the thing with John Mulaney is his whole persona is like, I'm just a guy. You could probably pour soup in my lap and I'd apologize to you. And it's harder for somebody to be that way when they're rich and famous and everybody's attending to them. So his third special in Carnegie Hall, I think wasn't as good, but I don't think it was as bad as most. Like, I think it was still good. The first time I watched it, I was a little disappointed. I went back, and there's actually a lot of good stuff in there. But Comeback Kid was better. Now, finish your theory of what happens at number 4.
So I think it's not necessarily number 4. In fact, this is actually, I wouldn't say that what I'm about to say is correlated with any specific number of special.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes something happens to somebody, or they get a burr or there's something, an earwig, and something becomes important to them, or something has happened to them, a tragedy, and they want to address it on stage, which I think is fine. Which
recently is usually that they got canceled.
Yeah, usually some kind of canceled situation. Recently has been, that's what that is.
They did a bad.
I don't like when stand-up comedians give a serious message from their podium. I you can make any point you want. You can say anything you want. I mean, honestly, it's your thing, and a lot of people love this. I just personally don't like it. But specifically, the one that really bothered me was the Aziz during COVID special. I heard Wesley. Oh, I knew it. Because
no, it wasn't during COVID.
Was it not?
It was before COVID.
Was it pre-COVID?
Long before COVID.
Okay, maybe. Whatever the situation
it was.
was.
The Aziz after he got. It was Me Too.
After Aziz got canceled. Yeah, Me Too
he
Aziz.
Got Me Too'd.
Aziz has always been one of my favorite comedians. I've been a fan of Aziz before I knew he did stand-up. I saw him in Parks and Rec, right? And he's hilarious. Like, dude's hilarious. His specials are some of especially those first two, some of the best specials I've ever seen. Like, they're so good. So rewatchable. Like, just phenomenal. When he did this particular special, he spent a large portion of the special talking about the issues and the Me Too and all the things that happened to him and whatnot, which I won't go into a reading. You can watch the special. But at a certain point, it felt preachy, not comedy. And I can't stand that. The first time I ever experienced feeling that way with stand-up was with Ralphie
May.
Ralphie May, maybe? Is that his name?
There's a guy named Ralphie May
Big
who's
guy,
a comedian.
like giant,
who's a big
giant,
guy,
fat
who's
guy.
giant,
Yeah,
fat
that
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
He had at the end of one of his specials a big support the troops message
Okay.
that I remember watching it. And this was like when I was just really getting to stand. I was going through Netflix watching every single stand-up special that was on Netflix. I watched at one point every single thing that was available. And I was watching him. He's hilarious. I enjoy him as a comedian. But he had this like, I don't know. I feel like it was like a 10-minute. It's been like 10 years now since I've seen it. So forgive the inconsistencies. But I feel like it was like a 10-minute like support the troops message. And I was just annoyed. I was like, this feels so taken out of the special. Like this whole mood and environment that you've created being a stand-up comedian. Like I expect that you're going to share things that you care about and things that you like and things that matter to you and issues and things, but you're going to do it in a certain way. You're going to do it in the box of stand-up comedy. And I feel like sometimes they don't. Sometimes they take it out of that and it becomes too serious, too preachy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is no longer a stand-up special. This is a TED Talk.
One thing about that special with Aziz is that it was directed by Spike Lee.
Now, I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan.
I don't even know what he did. I know he's a director. I don't know his specific movies.
Sure.
But I do know, or I should say I know, I should say I have a strong impression that he would try to make something artistic. And that's one of those specials where they tried to make a very artistic intro and outro and like a flavor to it. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah. No, I don't.
Like I imagine they were trying to make like an artistic statement beyond a comedy show, beyond a haha show.
Beyond a haha show. But the thing, I just think there's a way to get your point across and still have it be a stand-up special. Like, I don't think it's just. I feel like there's been several times that it just doesn't fit, and but just that particular special just got to me because I was so excited for it because I love Aziz so much, and I felt like I was so disappointed at the end.
Well, with Aziz, and I'm judging this only on his stand-up specials,
right? We don't know him.
I did also read his book.
Oh, nice.
So just like feeling like I have some sense of his personality and some stuff. Not like I know him at all, but just saying, it seems to me like Aziz is pretty left-leaning guy, and he is what's the word, like he seems conscientious, and he seems like somebody who like cares about things. And he got Me Too'd, which at the time was the like predominant left movement, and I'm sure up until the second he got Me Too'd, he was in complete support of like what was going on, and then he got Me Too'd, and so
saw the other side of it.
And well, no, I don't think he did, and I don't know that he should have either, or anything like that. I'm not even making a statement about it. All I'm saying is, I think he got Me Too'd, and what he did was he internalized it as I really have this problem that I need to address. I need to become a better person. I've become a bad person. The funny thing is, his Me Too was like the lightest of any celebrity I heard of at all. It was like a person. I want to tell it because it's beyond memory.
I don't really remember that much. It was been a while. I saw it when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since.
Of anyone you read their Me Too story, his was the most like, is that a problem? Like, it was the most like somebody who had sex with him. I maybe I shouldn't say anything because I'm like,
'Cause you don't remember the
maybe I'm wrong.
details.
Yeah, so I don't remember the detail. All I remember is like of anyone public figure
You remember the
read,
feeling you had after.
the
and that's what you're describing.
The feeling I had after was like, okay, that seems like it came off as like, yeah, that sounds like kind like he was being a douche. Like that was a douche move, guy. It didn't seem like that was a heinous crime.
Sure. Which a lot of the other, especially in the beginning of the Me Too movement, were.
Right.
It was like, oh, you should just go to prison forever.
Yeah,
like,
there's
no question.
You started with who's the main Weinstein. You started with
Right.
people as like egregious crimes against humanity, but on the spectrum, it all came under like it's all part of the same movement. And like a few people, and Aziz was one of them. It was like, oh, that was a dick move. Like he shouldn't have been that way. Like he hurt that person's feelings and did something a little too far. But it wasn't even like his wasn't as bad as Louis C.K.'s. Like it was like
Right, which I can argue in favor of Louis C.K. for a long time. I'm not going to because it's been a couple of years, and also who gives a fuck what I think. But I'm just saying, gray area at best.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I'm wrong and I need to
Or at
reread the
worst.
details of his story, but to my memory, it wasn't that bad. But he seemed to really internalize like, man, it seems like he had like I want to change the kind of person I am, which by the way is probably a good realization to have.
For anybody.
He probably did something douchey enough that he needed to change the kind of guy he was on some level. But it seems like he tried to pivot his comedy career to now like really try to say something and be important, in that way. And the problem is that it wasn't as funny.
And the thing is, that's what I'm looking for. When I click on your stand-up special, I expect to laugh. I expect to laugh a lot. I expect to have a great time.
He should have done a TED Talk.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd have been a great TED Talk.
Because it's not like what he had to say wasn't valuable. It was just that's not what I asked. That's not what I bought, essentially.
And also, it felt like there was a little PR-ness to it. Like, he was accepting full responsibility. Like, he was going hard into the accepting all the responsibility about needing to change and stuff. But, like, unless I'm wrong about his story, it seemed like you didn't probably deserve to get called out in that way.
Sure.
And what's been interesting is there's been a move in comedy. It seems like people got pushed hard enough that in recent years, comedians are now all of a sudden the ones who are, like, speaking out against these things and being like, having a little more attitude with it and being like, no, we're going to say things and we're not going to get canceled for it.
Because we're making jokes. And if you don't get that, that's on you.
Right. That sentiment is flipped now. But he was like an early one.
Yeah.
And he kind of drank the Kool-Aid on that one and went with it.
Maybe.
I will also say, and we disagree here, but I went back and rewatched that special recently, and I thought it was a lot better than I had thought at the time. And I kind of think that, like, post-COVID, it's better than it was.
Maybe. Be more removed from those times as well and all that.
Yeah.
Which, but now the truth of the matter is, I probably won't rewatch that one.
Because you're PTSD.
Just because, like, I'm like, I didn't enjoy it as much. Why would I rewatch that when I could rewatch the special he had before that I love?
Right.
Like, there's just no reason for me to revisit it.
So here's the funny thing. John Mulaney comes out, and he goes, like, he starts, like, he's like, yeah, I might seem a little bit different. He's like, back in the past, and he starts jumping around the stage. I'd be jumping around the stage like this, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you might know why that was, or something like that. And so my first instinct is like, oh no, it's going to be one of those specials. He's about to do the, like, repentance special. That's I've coined it. That's what we call those specials.
Special.
The repentance special. Seemed like he was about to do that. And I'm like, oh no, who is this new crackless John Mulaney? Do I like him? Or not crack, cocaine.
Crackless.
But I'll just say, he did talk a lot about what happened, but it was incredibly funny the entire time.
And that's the thing. But you still got his point, right? You still knew what he was talking about. You still understood the message he was giving.
Yeah, because he wasn't coming out to have a
heart to heart.
Yeah, he wasn't coming out to be like, guys, cocaine's bad.
Right.
That wasn't his, like, he's not trying to, like, make up for his problems by now coming out and letting everybody know. He just used all of that experience to be hilarious. He just has new material now. While also kind of getting to address a question that might be on people's minds and something that they're going to be a little interested in. He's like, okay, I'm going to tell you. But he made it so incredibly funny.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it when it comes out.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Come in 2023. That's just my guess.
Yeah, we have
But
no idea.
I will also say he did an encore, which I didn't expect.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I didn't know comedians did that. And he came out and he specifically said, I don't usually do encores, but this stay in Nashville has been really incredible. Because I guess it was the first time a comedian has done a residency there. He did 3 nights in a row.
That's cool.
I believe he did 4 shows, and it was like a new record. It was like a brand new thing. So he's like, this time in Nashville has been great, doing this, blah, 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 blah. So I've got an encore. And so he did the jukebox What's New Pussycat skit. Like verbatim, the way you remember it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's such a good one.
So
I love that.
it was a great time. It made a fan out of Ashley. She's like, John Mulaney's my favorite comedian now, and it was incredible. And
We can show her some more. I mean, I love John Mulaney. He's in my top 10. I don't know if he's in my top 5. Who's my top 5?
he's my top 1.
Dave Chappelle, number 1, easy. Probably fairly closely followed by Louis C.K. and Tom Segura. They're just phenomenal. Oh no, wait, I forgot Bill Burr. Bill Burr's above them. Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Tom Segura / Louis C.K. They're very tied. I don't know who's number 5. I don't think it's John Mulaney though. He's close after though. I don't know. I like stand-up. I like it all. I like it all. Bert Kreischer's really good. Bert Kreischer's been really coming up in my list over the last few years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when that man takes his shirt off, I'm just transported.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: the machine story is maybe the number 1 stand-up bit of all time.
Yeah.
Like that alone. Obviously, he's done a lot of great stuff since then. And his last special I thought was really good. But the machine story specifically cannot be topped. That alone might put him in my top 5.
Yeah. It's a really incredible story, even if you didn't make it.
And they're making
funny.
a movie about it, and I cannot wait. I don't care. This is a rare movie that I don't care if it gets a 1% in Rotten Tomatoes. I'm watching it.
Yeah, just
And I'm very picky with the movie that I watch.
So, anyways, guys.
Yeah,
we should probably wrap this up.
It's about that time.
But before we do, Wesley has a very important question.
So I've got a very important question. And if you had to answer it.
And you do.
And we do.
Keep in mind, this is going to be a different question, obviously. We can't talk about turtles. So we're going to talk about something else.
Hard to ask the question with Jaws playing, isn't it?
It is.
That's
It's
why I
very
stop
hard.
every time.
So if you had to answer.
And
We do.
And you do. Man, I might just get right into this.
You're just going to jump right into it.
Jump right into it.
Wesley, you're doing great, but could you intonate your voice a little more? Just like you sound really mellow.
I mean, I am pretty mellow.
I know you've been sitting in a chair for 3 hours just listening to us talk randomly, but you need to like pull up that energy, like get hype.
Okay, if you had to answer this question,
And you do.
And we
you do,
We
there's
do.
there's no choice. I need something off the top of your head, like immediately.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Can it come from our head?
No, it can't come from your head.
Where does it have to come
It
from?
has to come from your heart. Right? Not here, Jury. Give it to me. Not here. But
for the audio-
but from here.
Yeah, and for everybody just listening, he's pointing at his head and then he pointed at his heart.
Yes. All right. And so if you have to answer,
And we got to
And
go at
you
the same.
do.
And by the way, we have to go at the same time.
you have to go at the exact same time.
Sure,
no,
sure.
there's
It's the
no
two of us.
options here. As soon as I say it, I need immediate answer.
Mm-hmm.
No thinking about it. Whatever comes from your heart.
I've been on this side.
instantly. Right. So if you have to answer,
And you do.
Yeah, we do.
and you do, what? Ooh, how do I phrase this? What is your favorite form of potato?
Fried.
Fried.
Like French fried. Like, obviously, right? Like it's the best kind. There's nothing beats a French fry.
I'm going like the roasted garlicky with the bits in it. What do you call that?
I don't know, man. Roasted garlic.
Like you roasted
Claim
garlic
jumper.
potatoes?
Claim jumper. It's potatoes, but it's got like little pieces of the peels in it.
I think it's just mashed potatoes with peel in it.
I
Little
call it
bit of
that.
peel.
That's got a
Natural,
name.
all natural mashed potatoes, natural potatoes, natural baked potato. Something about natural potatoes. Probably naturals in there.
The potatoes. It's got like a little bit of the skins in it, and there's like garlic.
I don't know, man. At
Yeah,
Claim
I don't
Jumpers,
know.
they have those cheesy potato cakes. That's the best potato at Claim Jumpers. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Those cheesy potato cakes are bomb.com.
You know
Wait,
what?
Jury, can you eat potatoes right now?
Actually, no. It
Oh, that's
depends.
so sad.
Plain potato, I can eat. If it's just mashed potatoes with literally nothing in it but potatoes that have been mashed, I can eat that. But if it's been fried, like French fries, I can't eat. Though I've tried to force some anyways. But occasionally a sweet potato fry, if there's not much seasoning on it, is fine.
You know what's amazing, Jury? Wesley finds that everyone has a potato story.
No, really, it's just that I have a potato story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go
Let's hear a
ahead.
potato story.
Well,
Go for Wesley.
I have always wanted to have a potato party where
What?
everybody brings their own potatoes, like it's a potluck
Sure.
style, right? But everybody has to cook their potatoes. Hi, Ryan. Everybody has to cook their potatoes a different way, right? So Jury could bring French fries, and Ryan can bring whatever garlic potatoes.
Someone's got to mash them.
Yeah.
Someone's got to boil them. Someone's got to stick
and
them
then
in a
we
stew.
eat so much starch that we're all blocked up, but it'll be great.
I mean,
Yeah.
everyone loves potatoes. I do potatoes. I don't miss so much, but I do miss fries. and
You know what I
like
just
fries.
thought of?
Huh.
Mr. Potato Head.
What about
Mr.
him?
Potato's Head is the best answer if like Wesley's
Oh,
been doing
yeah.
this podcast for a while.
Right, and you've heard all the standard. You've heard
Yeah.
baked. You've heard mashed. You've heard French fries.
Yeah, Mr. Potato Head is like,
You've heard
I haven't-
scalloped
I haven't had that answer before.
potato skins, but Mister,
Hash browns,
just Mister. What's your favorite potato,
Best way to
Mister?
say it.
Tater tots?
Yeah. Oh man.
Or Mrs. We don't
Yeah.
judge.
There wasn't Mrs. in the Toy Story movie. Did you know that there's a Buzz Lightyear movie,
Yes,
but you haven't seen it because
that's
it's a
correct. Because I
cartoon?
don't watch cartoons.
Yeah. It was well done.
Because I am an adult.
It was well done.
I believe it. I believe it was well done.
Have you seen any of the other Toy Stories?
Every single one. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. Every single one up until the point that Tim graduated high school. Because we went
Tim.
for his graduation party and saw
Oh, Tim.
yeah, sorry, a friend of ours, Tim.
I was like,
friend of the show
his
and
name's
friend of us.
Andy.
No, that's for our friend's graduation party, high school graduation party. Some years ago, we went and saw Toy Story something. That was the last one that I had seen.
Did it have Forky?
I don't really remember, if I'm being honest. It was a long ass time ago. We saw it was at the drive-in, so it was also playing with the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, which
Oh,
was
I saw that with
objectively
you.
bad. Yeah, we were there
Yeah.
together. Which was objectively a bad movie that I actually really enjoyed because fucking Sands of Time or whatever. I don't remember what the
It's
line
based off
was.
the video game?
Wasn't it
Yeah,
like
it was.
this blade has the power to turn back time?
Yes. Yeah, like that one. Which actually played the game of that as well, and it was dope. But yeah. But I'd seen all the Toy Stories up to whatever that was. Maybe 3, maybe 4. I don't know how many there are now. 12, 15, 60. Disney never stops.
Now, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, we end an episode by playing a song from the artist.
I'll just sing.
Well, I was gonna say,
We should have our outro song
Yeah.
be another episode. And just play the whole thing.
get those plays. I was gonna say like maybe you could pick a song and be the outro, but then I'm like, oh, there's probably copyright protection.
problems.
So then it would have to be like an artist we know that we could ask.
You know what?
Would be mad.
You know who we've only had on the show one time, who's a friend of ours who
Uh-huh.
makes great music?
Mm.
Roger Yeager.
All right.
Maybe a Roger song.
Okay. Do you have a?
Well, I
one?
mean, the most obvious one is Elevator,
I don't
given
know
that I am
the.
the star of the music video.
That's true. That's so true.
If you watch the music video, you'll see me in my big breakout moment. or something else, or someone else. I don't care. It's just a suggestion.
Nope. Nope. We'll end this with Roger Yeager Elevator.
And there you have it. He texted me. Oh, shoot. He texted me like a few weeks ago. I forgot to text him back. I got to remember that now.
Oh yeah, he texted me this weekend, and I need to text him back too.
Sorry, Roger, if you're listening. And I know you are.
Okay. Well,
This will be Elevator. by Roger Yeager. Anyways, guys, thanks everyone for coming to hang out. As always, you guys are awesome. And we'll see y'all next time.
Elevator, leaving life behind. On the first floor, elevating through endless sky. Going to the top of the world, to the top of the world. I wish my life would revolve around the center of a dream. I wish my eyes were always seeing what I'm seeing in my sleep. Out of my head, out of my skin, flying through the atmosphere, going up, not coming down, gonna live my life in the starlight. Elevator, leave it all behind. Feel my senses come to life. No more heavy limitations, ordinary expectations. Need to feel this freedom in my soul. I wish my life would revolve around the center of a dream. I wish my eyes were always seeing what I'm seeing. Out of my head, out of my skin, flying through the atmosphere, going up, not coming down, gonna live my life in the starlight. Let go of me, elevator. Out of my head, out of my skin.